Oh, okay, sorry about that. Yeah, this. Okay. Ed Grindelski, Chair of the Town Council. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The first order of business is we have a public hearing, and that's on item 14A. And that's an ordinance amending Chapter 14, Section 14-49, property tax relief for public safety volunteers to accelerate the relief schedule. And I'm opening the public hearing, and we're going to have a presentation.
Good evening. The ordinance amendment that is proposed before you, the purpose of it is to enhance recruitment for the volunteer fire departments in the town of Killingly. It was proposed by the fire departments through the fire marshal. And what it does, the existing ordinance provides for property tax relief for our volunteers up to an amount of $2,000 over a period of years between 0 and 20. And what the amendment would do is accelerate the level of abatement. So they would get up to 90% after their third year. And then after their 10th year, between their 10th year and on, they could earn the additional 100%. But it does make the tax abatement accrue much quicker. And that was put through the ordinance subcommittee a couple months ago. It was recommended by the ordinance subcommittee, and it was scheduled for the public hearing tonight. From what I understand, I don't know if there's any of the departments here to speak tonight, but I believe they're in favor of the proposed change to the ordinance.
Well, item 3 of the public hearing is public comment. Is there any public comment regarding this ordinance amendment?
No, not this one.
Oh, yeah, this is different. This is the public hearing. Yeah, okay.
Hi, Claudette Rogers, 294 Putnam Pike. I was just noticing, driving around town, that a lot of the fire departments do have signs out looking for volunteers. And I think this would maybe help get more volunteers, along with some other, like $2,000. I really don't know if that's enough. If you're a fire chief, or I don't know how it works. How much do we have paid fire people in the
No.
town?
No.
Nobody gets paid?
Well, I don't know. It's within the fire district. So from the town standpoint, the town does not pay any fire people, but the districts have their own unique circumstances.
Right. So with, say, so Attawagan, and we have all the mills and the power plant. I think with the power plant, didn't they have to have some paid staff or whatever. But anyway, I just wanted to say I am for this and then some. I would like to see them have better, and even, I don't know, do some kind of youth involvement with the fire departments to try sparking the youth being interested in it. I know we invest a lot into our football players, and I think if we maybe put some gym equipment at the local fire departments, maybe we could get some jacked up fire people in town. Okay.
What's that?
Was proposed by the chief, the increase?
I don't know. This is a change to the ordinance itself. Any other public comment?
Good evening. My name's Barbara Ahern, Killingly, Connecticut. I think it's a wonderful idea. When I first moved up here, I was in the fire police with East Brooklyn, and I think the way times are now, any financial help to anyone who volunteers, even though people don't volunteer for money, would be a wonderful thing. And we definitely do need more volunteers.
Thank you.
Carol Cooper Riley. I'm 100 Cook Hill Road in South Killingly. I've been a volunteer for many, many years for the ambulance corps, for about 45 years actually. And now I'm on the board of directors. And for most of my volunteering, it was all unpaid. And I think too, and we even instituted where we got kids out of high school to come and help. We need to do that. We need to involve the young people. And I think if we can give kids a stipend, maybe for some gas money and so forth, it would really help. So I definitely think this is a move in the right direction.
Thank you. Anyone else for a public comment on the ordinance amendment? Any further public comment? Any further public comment? Okay, I guess I moved the public comment was over. Council members, have any questions?
So this proposal was made by the fire marshal, correct?
That's correct.
Any other comments?
I have just one, and I think it's a great idea. The only thing I have, under section C, number 4, the chief or the administrative officer from the fire department can make sure that the firemen are in good standing. We put this in many years ago, the old ordinance about giving money, but I had a problem with just one, making sure that the firemen were in good standing, so I'd rather see the chief, and it should be and the administrative officer can verify that the officer, the firemen are in good standing. In other words, they've made their drills, they've made the actual commitment.
So what section is that? What page and what section? I'm trying to,
Right here.
okay, 14-5, okay, 14, all right. So that is section 1447C4. Do we have any other council member?
Well, they do. I mean, I agree with what Dave says, but when you look at the eligibility, the list is, they did think this through. They're giving you points for drill training sessions per call and a minimum percentage. You're just saying you'd like to see, instead of just one person, that two people
Because
are,
I had a situation where somebody was a friend and they were not necessarily recording properly.
fair enough.
I'd just like to point out, as the chair of the ordinance subcommittee, that that was not any language that was changed. The only language that's changing is the amount of money that is there for firemen to qualify for, so I don't see the point of discussing something that's not up for change.
So from your comment, the stuff in red, that's what we're discussing
Right.
for tonight.
Just the change in the dollar amounts that you're given.
And while we're talking about it, I mean, not every department has an administrative officer. The "or" language is there because some have a hired administrative officer. Many times the chief is the person who's tallying everything, and there aren't two people making the decision.
I'm just telling you, I'm just suggesting that I know what happened in the past. And I just wanted to rectify it, but I understand that we're just changing the dollar amount right now.
Do we have any other council comments? So maybe I need some clarification. So if we close the public hearing, then we'll open up for discussion when we open up 14A later on in the meeting. That's where the action would be.
That's correct. Yep, you would
Okay.
complete both hearings and then move into the regular meeting agenda. And when we come to unfinished business, or I believe it's under unfinished business, we would take this up again and decide how we want to act.
So is there any other comment on the public hearing item?
Now, is there two items for the public hearing right now, or is it just on A?
There's a second hearing
there's a-
for another ordinance.
So I'll close the first public hearing on section 1449, and we'll open the second item, an ordinance amending chapter 2, section 2-62, to stagger terms of office for the housing authority to be consistent with the state statute. And I'll open the public hearing at this time. And Brian, would you?
Yep, so, in the past, there were some discrepancies with terms of office on the Housing Authority, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I believe one other commission. Last year, the council acted to amend some of the ordinances to straighten that out. However, when they did that, they missed making the language in the Housing Authority ordinance consistent with state statute. So the statute calls for the Housing Authority to have 5-year terms, whereby there's one term that expires each year. And that's not the language that we have right now, so that's the language we're proposing. There still will be some discrepancies that need to be worked out over time because people are not expiring once a year. So people are going to have odd-numbered terms that don't fit the 5-year stagger. So what this does is it builds in the 5-year stagger, but also builds in language to allow you to have those different length terms until we get there over the next few years. So if this is approved, as members come up, you may appoint them for a term that's 5 years, or you may appoint them to a term that's less than 5 years, depending on what you need to fit the situation. And this language gives you the flexibility to bring this into conformance over time.
Now, what we had with planning and zoning, we had we identified the particular position one, regular position 2. Should we do a similar here so we know, like a lot of times we were looking at the people.
Yep.
And then we lost track of, when we were trying to keep track of who.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do it in the ordinance, but we do need to do it. We do need to identify what the plan is for which position is going to get which term going forward. And if I look at the sheet that I have and the appointments, it doesn't match the sheet that the Housing Authority has and what they think the appointments are. So first we need to get the language to enable us to
Okay,
fix
all right,
it.
we'll do that.
And then we need
Okay.
to agree upon who's going to get what as we go forward.
So there's also public comment on this item. If anybody would like to speak about the terms for the Housing Authority, you're welcome to come up to the podium. Any comment on the public hearing for the Housing Authority? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment portion. Any questions from the council?
I'm just going to make a comment that Carol Green, the director of the Housing Authority, is the one who requested these changes.
Are there any other comments from the council? Any other comments from the council? And last, any other comments from the council? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Okay. Now we'll call the town council meeting to order.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
do we have, oh, never mind. It's not, we're good. I thought we had 3. Do we have C2 on 14, or is that when we get there?
I think we postponed action on it.
All right, got it. Good.
Okay. Item number 2, would like to have a prayer from Jack LeCrone. Thank you.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, as we ask you to be present with us tonight, help us to remember that you've been walking around with us all day. You know what we've faced, you know what we have tonight in front of us. And so I'd ask your wisdom, your guidance as this council makes their decisions, as people come up to talk and to express their opinions, their thoughts. Help us all to remember that, as your servant G.K. Chesterton said, we make our friends, we make our enemies, but you make our neighbors. And so as we seek the welfare of this city together, let us to remember that. Help us to remember that we all belong together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 5, adoption of minutes of our previous council meetings. We can do them all at once, or we can take them individually. I would like a motion. We have a motion from Dave and a second by Ulla. You want to take them as a package? Okay, all right. Any comments? No comments from the council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda, item 6. We have a presentation for John LaBelle. I'd like to have John's wife come up to the podium. This is in honor of John LaBelle for his dedicated service as a member of the Town Council of the Town of Killenly. Presented this 9th day of June 2026 by the Killenly Town Council. We really appreciated his help. I did especially.
Thank
I
you.
think you spent quite a few times at your house and whatnot, and he was very helpful.
Well, he
So-
would be really happy with this. Thank you
So
much.
I thank you and him, and this was, oh, we have a picture.
Here, I'll hold it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 7, unfinished business for town meeting action. We have none. Item 8, citizen statements and petitions. Pursuant to the Town Council Rules of Procedure, Article 4, Section 2, all presentations by citizens shall be limited to an aggregate of 45 minutes, and each citizen presentation shall not exceed 5 minutes unless otherwise indicated by a majority vote of the Town Council. Public comment can be made in person or submitted by 2 p.m. the day of the meeting via email at publiccomment@killenlyct.gov, mailed to the Town of Killenly Town Manager's Office, 172 Main Street, Killenly, Connecticut 06239, or put in the drop box on the side of the Town Hall. Public comments will be posted on the town website, www.killenly.org. And I have quite a few public comments here. We can't read them all tonight, but they will be on the website. Anyone in the audience who wishes to come to the podium, you're welcome now.
Mic on? I think so. I'm Al Dufresne, 148 Pond Road, Dayville. Good evening. A few days ago, I attended the Vision Committee meeting at the library and appreciated the effort being made to the gathered public input and begin a conversation about the future of Killingly. I also want to recognize Councilman Adam Reynolds for his involvement in that process and for helping encourage residents to participate in discussions about where our town is headed. As we think about Killingly's future, I believe we need to look at beyond the next budget cycle or the next development proposal and ask ourselves what we want this community to look like in 10, 20, or even 50 years from now. My vision for Killingly is a community that protects its natural resources, preserves its rural character, and pursues responsible economic development that benefits residents without sacrificing the things that make this town special. One of the priorities I hope we continue to support is the restoration of Old Killingly Pond and the repair of the dam. The pond is an important part of our community's history, ecology, recreation, and identity. Protecting watershed and water resources connected to it should remain a long-term goal for the town. What happens upstream affects everything downstream, and the health of our water resources is something we should be thinking about for the generations to come. I also believe that we should continue exploring opportunities to redevelop existing brownfield and previously undeveloped properties rather than relying solely on development of undeveloped land sites such as the former Acme Cotton Mill property and the Prim property represent opportunities for revitalization that can strengthen the community while making productive use of land that has already been impacted. These brownfield properties cannot realistically be redeveloped to their full potential if Killingly remains limited by the current sewer moratorium and an outdated sewer treatment system. If we want sites like Acme Cotton and the Prim Mill property to become useful again, whether for mixed income housing, economic development, or other community benefits, then the sewer infrastructure has to be part of the vision. The town should work closely with NECOG, state agencies, and federal programs to seek grants and funding to update the sewer treatment plan and address the moratorium. If we are serious about planning for the future, we must also be serious about investing in the infrastructure needed to support that future. As we consider future growth, we must also be mindful of our drinking water resources, groundwater recharge areas, streams, wetlands, and the broader watershed systems that support the community. These resources are valuable assets that deserve careful stewardship. Once damaged, they are very difficult and expensive to restore. I believe there are many opportunities available through regional, state, and federal programs that can help communities like ours address infrastructure needs, environmental restoration, housing, economic development, and water quality improvements. We should continue working with NECOG and other partners to identify and pursue those opportunities whenever possible. Many communities have successfully leveraged grants and outside funding to move projects forward, and Killingly should be doing the same. Most importantly, I hope the Vision Committee process continues to encourage public participation. The future of Killingly should be shaped not only by elected officials and boards, but by residents who deeply care about the town and want to see it thrive. The decisions we make today will shape the Killingly that future generations inherit. My hope is that we leave them a community with clean water, protected natural resources, restored historic assets, responsible economic opportunities, strong neighborhoods, and a town character worth preserving. Let's continue planning not just for the next year or two, but for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Jasmine Birdie, 125 Lake Road in Dayville. I'm also not for these proposed distribution centers, not only for environmental concerns, but also, traffic, everything else that we've discussed throughout the hearings. But correct me if I'm wrong. But the developer for the Westcott Road proposed distribution center, is it true that Ryan Companies LLC, aren't they being sued for environmental issues and sexual harassment claims? I think that if that is the correct company, that it may be worth looking into for liability reasons for everybody in town and safety concerns too. Just throwing it out there. If this is the correct company that is with working with the Westcott Road distribution centers, they have, let's see, they have contract violations in 2025. They have $350K to resolve sexual harassment, retaliation. They also supposedly have a lawsuit, also something regarding environmental concerns with their projects. So I think that, you know, not only just how we personally feel should be taken into effect, but also just the facts of liability and what could really go wrong. You know, we really need to preserve our town, and, you know, for future generations. I know my kids, I want them to grow up here and be involved in the community, and it's kind of hard, you know, to see any good kind of future when we have all these proposed distribution centers. We have the PFAS issue right now, which is a huge concern. We have also Old Killingly Pond, that it's just getting drained and fish are dying, plants are dying, and that fuels a lot of other water resources. I think it's really important that we preserve and protect our water, we preserve and protect our town, all of the animals here, all of us people here, our children, because it's easy to look at something and say, oh, well, you know, maybe this could help, you know, jobs, if it doesn't get turned into a data center anyway. But I'm just really not for it, and I have to stand up and say something about it because, you know, my kids matter and everybody else's kids here matter and grandkids matter. We all matter, and, you know, putting politics aside at this point, it's just, politics don't matter at this point. We have to really come together and work on all of our issues to preserve and protect our town. So, thank you.
Michelle Murphy, 325 Breakneck Hill Road. I'm here to speak on the ballot question issue. I have some clarifications because the radio came out and kind of mixed it up with the moratorium. The moratorium is not supposed to be on the ballot question. Moratorium cannot be on the ballot question. The moratorium is going to be decided by planning and zoning only. Next Monday night, June 15th, Town Hall, 7 p.m. If you're interested in the moratorium, please come next Monday, June 15th. The purpose of the moratorium would be a 12-month pause for Planning and Zoning Commission to reevaluate the regulations regarding very large distribution centers. The only regulation change would be the pause itself. The Planning and Zoning Commission would then take several months to reevaluate and either make the changes or not make changes in the current regulations. The two current distribution centers, 90 Putnam Pike and Westcott Road Distribution Center, would not be affected by this pause. They are grandfathered in. So the ballot question. As this moratorium hopefully goes through, you know, there is some question from John Saniopoulos. I know that in every issue that comes forward, it's not 100% people believe this and 100% 0% people believe this. So if a moratorium goes through, we thought it would be a good thing in November. It's a great opportunity. We never get any participation back on surveys. It's very small, 100 people. When you did the POCD, when they formed the POCD, it was done with a survey and only 150 people answered and 80 people came to a meeting. When Uller and I went out in one weekend, we got 150 people on a petition for not having 4 houses per acre. It's very hard to get input. So we were just thinking with something this big with the distribution centers, rather than make planning and zoning have to go forward for the next 6 months or a year, the moratorium would be for 12 months, that they would then have some type of understanding of where the townspeople lie, all of the townspeople. So I think the ballot question would be a good idea. It would go down like any ballot question where it would say, here's some good things about distribution centers, blah, 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 and you would have a group of people who think they're good, and then the question could be, I want more, yes, or I want to see more. You know, we could decide the question together as we go forward. Like I can work with Uller on the negative parts. If people have positive parts, they could do it. Then the other part of the question would be, here are all the negative things about distribution centers, and I don't think we should have them, you know, any more of them. And that would be a no. And then it would just go on the ballot. It would be completely non-binding, but it would give the planning and zoning much more input than they had when the text change was made in 2023. When the text change was made in 2023, we were told distribution centers were no different than any other warehouse. It was just another word for warehouse, and only the uses were different. Now we know that that's different. I don't think even the commission expected for the entire business park zone to be filled up with one building, and what the implications are going to be for that. Who could have seen it? But we can see it now, and it would be great to have this ballot question so that as they deliberate over their text changes, where do they want to go with this, that they actually knew what the majority of townspeople thought. So I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Justin Fisher, 94 Dam Road, Dayville, Connecticut, Old Killingly Pond, the one and only. I'm not here tonight to lay out any detailed solutions and pathways for the town of Killingly. I can compile the material if warranted to do so by the council. What I am here to tell the town council is that we have identified, our group, have identified several solutions that I believe would benefit our town. These solutions have been discussed with senior level personnel within the state of Connecticut, and they are in agreement. What I'm asking for you tonight is simple. Come to the table with us and learn what we know, and let's protect our town together. Pretty straightforward with it. To continue that thought process and to tease it out, let's ask a few questions. You know, while the budget debate continues and everybody seems to be fighting over pennies, I'd like to ask the town council to consider a few important questions. Why hasn't the town collected the $170,000 in back taxes owed by the Bailey Hill Road mill site owners, Shinnecock Realty, for the last 10 years of ownership? They have not paid anything since 2016. Why haven't we acted upon that? Regarding the same property, who will be held liable for the contaminated soil along the Whetstone Brook that feeds into the aquifer? Okay. That site has been designated as a brownfield site since 1999, and nothing has been done to mitigate that contamination plume in 27 years. Now consider those same property owners who really care about our drinking water here in this town of Killingly. Those same owners own the dams, those 12 that we referred to in our Killingly post on Memorial Day that are supposed to be insulated between the aquifer and Old Killingly Pond Dam, which is the headwaters of the Whetstone Brook, which feeds into the aquifer that does connect. 9 out of those 12 insulated dams are owned by these same people who have the best interest of heart for the town and our town's people. Old Killingly Pond and the Hopkins well fields are tied together. I just want to make that very clear. It is a secondary source of contribution inside that well field. So if we live within the Whetstone Drainage Brook, the basin of it, your wells could potentially, now there's studies that need to happen, could potentially hydraulically connect. Just to clear the air on that. If we don't work together on this, we are allowing the corporation to ruin our town. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple big ones coming into the town very recently over the next couple of years that we're voting on. Maybe it'll happen again. I'm not sure. But right now, they are poisoning our waterways and contaminating our soil and destroying our dams outside these, our way of living. I don't feel like East Killingly residents have been given a voice at all And I feel like we've been getting kind of shunned out, and that's okay. If you don't want to listen, right, the old saying, can't lead a horse to the water. You can lead them there, but you can't let them drink, or you can't make them drink it, so that's okay. But I really feel like out of the 12-month time period that these companies that own the dams, that own the mill sites, have given us before they go bankrupt, I mean, we're on month 8 right now. Time's ticking, right? How are we going to go about this when we drop the ball, and who's going to be held responsible? Because I have a bunch of solutions that can walk us out of liability, money, and it doesn't feel like anybody wants to talk to me about it. Brian seems to be the only one that's answering any emails. It's just kind of frustrating. I have some answers. We have some answers. We've talked to people above. They agree. We all need to sit down and work through this together, and it doesn't feel like the town wants to. It feels like we're kind of just doing the bare minimum in it, and I'd like to potentially change that. And I hope that you guys really sit down and think about that. Thank you.
Okay, Al Dufresne, 148 Pond Road. I'm going to be talking about the moratorium, okay, so.
Which moratorium?
Okay,
We have the sewer and we have the warehouses.
warehouses.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you. Maybe we have a couple more, who knows, we'll see. I support the moratorium on warehouse and distribution centers. Killing needs time to step back, review the impacts, and make sure our zoning protects the town before more large-scale projects move forward. These projects can bring traffic, major traffic, blasting, stormwater, wetland, groundwater, and public safety concerns. Once land is cleared and a project is approved, the damage can be very hard to undo. A pause is not anti-business, it's responsible planning. I also believe the town should look seriously at a moratorium on data centers as well. Data centers involve large buildings, major power demand, water and cooling concerns, noise, backup generators, and infrastructure impacts. We should not treat them casually or allow them to slip through under the broad zoning language without a clear public discussion. Killingley should take the time to update its regulations, refine these uses clearly, and protect our water, roads, neighborhoods, and rural character before approving more large industrial scale development. I urge the council to support the distribution center moratorium and begin discussion on data center moratorium too. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Reardon, 1047 North Road. I'm speaking tonight in support of placing the issues of the distribution centers on the ballot so that voters in Killingley can decide. These are very large projects that have long-term impacts on our water sources, traffic, emergency services, and the rural character of our town. 2 distribution centers have already been approved. Residents should have the opportunity to vote on whether additional large-scale industrial development should move forward in a non-binding referendum. Putting this on the ballot would allow the community to have a direct say in the future of our town rather than leaving these major decisions solely on the boards, to the boards and commissions. I respectfully ask the council to support placing the distribution centers center proposals on the November ballot. Thank you.
My name is Ralph Mastrangelo. I live at 2 Starling Court, Danielson, and my comments follow right after. I'm an Amazon customer. I get at least 2 deliveries a week. Interestingly enough, this is tick spray for clothing, for my sneakers. And it was supposed to be at my house yesterday, and it came today. And I was grateful I didn't mind. I didn't say, gee, I wish there was a ginormous distribution center in my backyard so that I could have gotten this tick spray yesterday. I am willing to put up with light pollution, diesel fuel pollution, blasting, disruption to the aquifer. I could have gotten my tick spray yesterday. I mean, if I was really in a hurry for it, I would have ordered it last week. But I was grateful, and I'm thinking, I was in bed last night saying, I'm going to be taking my dog for a walk today around that large course at Owen Bell Park that goes by the soccer field. I'm concerned about ticks. So I went online and I hit, purchase. And as I was leaving to go vote on the budget referendum, there's an Amazon person in the truck giving me my package. And I thought, what a country. All I have to do is get my iPhone and hit purchase, and they bring it to me. I didn't have to go to the store. I'll put up with the inconvenience of it being a day late. But to hell with putting that monstrosity 3,200 feet from my house. I don't need that. I don't know that anybody would be willing to put up with that. They need us more than we need them. They want to be here more than we want them here. Why us? Why Killingly? Because they could buy up land cheap, they could go and make these ridiculous offers to the landowner, to the homeowners. But what are we getting for that? What's in it for us? Really, what's in it for us? This is a direct question. This is not a rhetorical question. This is a direct question that I hope I get a response to. Has Amazon or any of their representatives been offered any tax abatements for this project at any point from now until who knows when? Will there be any tax abatements? Okay. So what's the residual value to Killingly residents? What will we get out of it year after year? Now, the town of Johnston, Amazon went into the town of Johnston, Rhode Island. They have a much better topology than here because they're right off of 195. Hartford Avenue is huge. It's a 4-lane road. The trucks can maneuver around much better than they're going to maneuver on Westcott Road. I mean, I don't think you would feel the pressure, because it's not in a residential area, you wouldn't feel the pressure of 800 trucks in a 24-hour period. Westcott Road's going to feel it. Westcott Road is going to break down. The cost to repairs will be passed on to residents. So we'll end up paying for this, not just with poor water quality and pure air quality, but as I mentioned the other night when we had the inland waterways, inland wetlands meeting, I think our property values are going to go down. I can't imagine that I list my house for sale 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, and a prospective buyer is going to look at that listing and say, oh, Killingly, that's the quiet corner, that's beautiful. Wait a minute, isn't this near the big Amazon warehouse? We got to go look at that one. I just don't think that's going to be the conversation. I think I'm going to have to lower the potential sale price of my house to attract buyers. Where is that going to come from? I didn't want that. I don't want that. So what is Amazon going to do for the town? Now, what Amazon is doing for the town of Johnston is that they're making payments towards the school budget. They're funding a jobs program. Did we do anything like that with Amazon? Did we negotiate like that? We are negotiating from a position of strength. Yes, they're Goliath, we're David. But we are negotiating from a position of strength because they want us more than we want them. They should pay for that. What are they promising, these $20 an hour jobs? That's it? Those jobs are going to be replaced by robots. That place is going to become an AI data center. Westcott Road is not going to be recognizable. So I have a few more questions that I hope I get some answers to. What is the town council's role in whether that warehouse distribution center is approved or not? Anybody?
There's no comment back and forth. You can make your presentation and we will make comments at the end of the public.
You can't answer my questions?
Not at this point in time, later on.
Okay, so jot that one down,
Yep.
because I have a few others. I'd also appreciate it if you could clarify a little bit of confusion. I monitor several Facebook groups that have popped up that are in opposition. I haven't seen any. Anybody can clarify if I'm wrong. I have not seen one single group of anybody who is favoring a warehouse distribution center in Killingly. It's all opposed. The Inland Waterways Commission, my understanding from the last meeting is if they vote no, it's done. It doesn't go any further. I would just like clarification on that, if that's true or not. The second question is, if they vote yes, then it's kind of an automatic from planning and zoning because of the as of zoning. It's like a rubber stamp by planning and zoning. So I'd like some clarification on that. I think that was it. Was number one, just to restate the town council's role in whether or not this goes forward, if there is any at all. Number two, inland wetlands, the IWWC, if they vote no, what can happen? And if they vote yes, is it basically a rubber stamp? That's what I have. Thank you.
Do we have any further public comment? Okay, come on up.
Hi, Susan LeGros, 106 Chestnut Hill Road. Good evening, and thank you all for being here. I'm here to support placing the ballot question on a temporary moratorium for distribution centers and large warehouses. I understand the Planning and Zoning Commission has the legal authority over the zoning, and this moratorium ballot question is intended as a temporary procedural pause to allow study and proposed regulation action by the Planning and Zoning Commission. We already have real local reasons to pause. Recent town correspondence and the Conservation Commission's June 2nd letter about Old Killingly Pond show how quickly local decisions can affect our environment, water resources, and community character. A short targeted moratorium, 12 months and limited to facilities over a sensible size threshold, for example, 50,000 square feet, gives Killingly time to conduct independent traffic and stormwater studies, assess impacts to wells and habitats, and require develop funded infrastructure repairs where needed, and hold public hearings. This moratorium is not anti-development, it's a measure to pause so we can develop clear standards, special permitting for large facilities, truck route, and delivery hour rules, stronger stormwater and bufferment requirements, screening and lighting controls, and financial protections for roads and services and impacts. The same careful planning we urged for the pond. Please put the moratorium question on the ballot so voters can decide whether we should pause approvals while we complete these studies and draft protections. Let the community choose a responsible path forward that protects our roads, water, wildlife, and neighborhoods. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Russ Daniels, 27 Sales Ave in Dayville. I'd like to go over some things from the meeting we had last Monday and also talk about Amazon. The Amazon business model is this. They've laid off 16,000 people in the last year. Now, why would they lay off 16,000 people and want to spend $200 million to build a warehouse in good old Killingley? You ever wonder about that? I did. Turns out that what they do is, typically this is their game plan. They get huge tax breaks from whatever town they're going to move into. Then they build their building, they hire hundreds of people, and no, they don't pay $23 an hour like they advertise. It's more like $17 an hour. These jobs are dead-end warehouse jobs. That's all they are. And as time goes on, those employees get replaced by robots. And then after a few years, Amazon decides, okay, we made enough of a killing. We're going to sell the real estate, close the doors, and make another killing. So they're making a killing going in the door. They're making a killing going out the door. In Johnson, Rhode Island, it's 3.8 million square feet. That's mind-boggling. They want to build on 1.37 million square feet here. The Johnson operation is less than a half hour from where we're standing. Why would they build two warehouses totaling 5.17 million square feet within 30 minutes of each other? What I'm afraid is that they'll just use us. They'll be here for a few years, close the doors, see you later. They have a history of doing this throughout the country. And also Connecticut, would you believe they already have either 16 or 17 warehouses already existing in the state of Connecticut? Can you believe that? I wanted to talk about a few things about this building. The runoff of 1.37 million square feet roof is enormous. 1 inch of rain, the runoff, I forget the numbers, I think Ed has them, are mind-boggling. Where's that water, where's that runoff going to go? Well, they want to put a sewer system in. There isn't a sewer system on Westcott right now that goes up to where their driveway would be, but there will be, I would think. And has anybody asked what's the maximum capacity of their so-called sewer treatment plant that they claim they're going to build? Nobody has asked that question. How about how much water are they going to draw out of the aquifer for a building this huge? It's going to be enormous, right? So people are going to lose, who live in that area, are going to lose water pressure, I would think, because the water table is going to go down. And the other thing is the sewage. When we have heavy rain, the sewage treatment plant, several years ago we passed a $22 million referendum, and we redid the sewage treatment plant, but we didn't increase the capacity. And as most of you on the town council should know, it's already at near capacity. And from what I'm hearing is that we may have to go to Frito-Lay and beg them, don't send as much sewage because we got this new Amazon warehouse and they're sending us a lot of sewage. So we don't want to overflow the sewage treatment plant and pollute the Quinebaug River, and DEP will be on our backs like they were several years ago when we passed the referendum to redo the sewage treatment plant back then. We're right back to square one again. This is so outrageous. I just tracked traffic. The town site said 400 to 800 trucks a day. Let's use the nominal number, 600 trucks. Do the math. That's one truck either entering or leaving every 2 minutes. Route 395 is a federal interstate. They can't build an on or off ramps onto that highway, so it has to go onto Westcott Road. Can you imagine what the traffic's going to be like? Dealing with tractor trailers at that volume? I don't even want to think about it. Liability. I asked the Wetlands Commission about liability. Do we have any? Nobody knew. He says, one guy said, we'll have a referendum. The other says, we'll do our escrow account. And I'm thinking, and you're thinking that the taxpayers are going to pay for liability. I interrupted him. I says, wait a minute. Amazon should pay for 100% of the liability to a third-party independent conservator to look after that money in the event, and it shouldn't be just a little bit, I mean tens of millions of dollars in the event that there's a catastrophe there, in the event that all the, as he mentioned, property values are going to plummet. There's no doubt about that. Those people need to be made whole, and this town council needs to protect Killenly citizens, number one. Lithium batteries. I'm not talking about the ones you put in your electronic gadgets at home. I worked in a warehouse. I bought my house here 20 years ago. I worked in the Staples warehouse as a second job. So I get to know what warehouse work is like. The lithium batteries they put in these forklifts and all the reach trucks that they have are huge. And they're very powerful. They're also highly flammable, extremely flammable, and extremely toxic. On March 15th, 2022, Walmart had a 1.2 million square foot warehouse in Plainfield, Indiana. It went up in flames. The whole place was destroyed right to the ground. It caused $500 million in property damages. Walmart did not rebuild on that site. What does that tell you? And to this day, they don't know what caused the fire. I'll bet you a 30 rack of Budweiser, it was lithium batteries. Nothing is combustible as lithium batteries. It's like napalm. Do you know how napalm operates? It sucks the air out and puts it right on the fire, so the fire hardly ever goes out. Lithium batteries, there was a car crash in '84 in Vernon about a year ago. A Tesla hit a guardrail, went up in flames. It took them 4 or 5 hours to put out a small car fire. They essentially burned themselves out. If something like that was to happen here, it'd be such a catastrophe. People would be evacuated. They'd have to flee their houses. We would be a federal disaster zone. And aside from that, if the aquifer, 67% of this town gets their water from wells. If that aquifer that we all drink from is contaminated, guess what? Our houses are worthless without clean water, period. This needs to be stopped by any means necessary. And I do mean any means. The moratorium, I should be 3 years. And I'd like to see a maximum square footage on commercial buildings, maybe 100,000 square feet maximum. And the lawyer for Amazon is very pushy, SOB. He wants this to wrap up in 5 months. Well, the change to the bylaws, zoning, happened 3 years ago to make it to permit people to build up a warehouse there. Let's make them wait 3 years. Play their game. Play the waiting game. Defeat them any way you can.
John McGee, 205 Whetstone Mills, Dayville. So, I know why Amazon came here, because we're the poorest county in Connecticut. We all know that. We all know that our jobs in this area are what, $17 to $25 an hour. They call it what do they call it? The Husky Project. The employees at that Amazon will be on the Husky insurance because Amazon doesn't give them full-time jobs. So what are we doing here? What's the purpose of Amazon coming here? They target the poor, us. They want to take away the only thing we have in this county, which is the nature that makes this place a nice place to live. It's not the jobs. It's not the high-paying jobs in Windham County that keep us here. It's not, folks. It's not the schools, because our schools have not done so well either. I mean, we can't even pass a budget referendum for the education. So we know why they're here. They pick on poor people, okay? And it's your job to protect us from the big corporations who want to come in and pollute our water and ruin the wildlife and take away one of the only valuable assets that we have in Windham County, which is the nature, which is why people come here, why it's called the Quiet Corner, why you can look up at night and see a sky full of stars. You put up that monstrosity, it's gone. 24 hours a day, lights, gone. We're already under drought conditions, so he's talking about the batteries. We've already got a drought years long, right? It's right here. It's very Google it. We're drought year after year. And we want to put this tinderbox? Come on, let's think about this for a second. They're here to steal from us. Amazon is here to steal from us. They don't give a shit about us. I'm sorry to use the language, but they don't care about us. It's your job to care about us. That's why you sit in these seats, to care about not today, not yesterday, but the future. The future. For all those kids in the Killingly High School, okay, who want to stay here, who want to live in Windham County. You think they're going to want to stay here with that when it's not beautiful anymore? What are we going to do? Let's think about this. Think about this really long and really hard, because this is the very soul of this town, okay? And the souls of people in here. You're going to be affected whether you vote yes or no, okay? You live amongst us. You're not going anywhere. So just think about that. Think about the passion that's come from this. There's people on left and right coming together over this, okay? A lot of Republicans like to hunt. They like nature. The same thing with Democrats. We like nature too. So this is bringing us together. We don't like it. I read that thing over there, the stack of papers over there. Not one pro-distribution center comment. Not one. Not one in that stack. And then we had that meeting the other week. They came and they all sat. I mean, they're so smart about it too. So smug. They all sat in the same place. The owner of the property that was going to make all the money sat right next to, you know what, the Amazon guys. Go figure. Go figure. I mean, come on. It's plain as day what's happening here. There's a couple of us in this town who want to sell us all out for their own pockets. Fine. They can live with that. We all know them now. We know that man for what he truly is now. What we don't know is about you guys. We don't know what you're about. Okay? So, because I don't see you guys talking about this issue online or anywhere. I just don't see it. I see us, citizens, talking about it, but I don't see you guys talking about it. So just make sure that you remember that this is a town of people. This is Killingly. This is a place that we all call home. I grew up in Brooklyn, right over the water. Went to Woodstock Academy, left the U.S. for a number of years and came back to raise my daughter here, okay, here with her grandparents, with family. She loves it here. So don't ruin it by just taking in for what? For jobs that mean nothing. He said dead end jobs. They're dead end jobs. Dead end jobs. Okay? Nobody wants these jobs. We don't need them. We need real jobs with real pay and real benefits that we don't have to subsidize for Amazon because they won't give people benefits. So we're going to be subsidizing the roads for Amazon. We're going to be subsidizing health care for Amazon. No, I don't think so. We're not getting anything out of this, okay? Make the right decision. Thank you.
Again, my name is Barbara Ahern, 127 Killingly Drive. I know there isn't probably much we can do right now, or you can do, about the distribution center. And while I was fretting about contractors doing my own renovation on a family room and dealing with them, for all these months and getting sick over it the way they did the work. I wasn't aware of what was going on in our town or my area. Where I live, it's busy. You have Gauthier Ave. There's been a lot of accidents at that intersection for years, and I was told it's a state road. If where your sign is and that back wall could be a reference point, that's how far my house is from Gauthier Drive. 800 tractor trailer trips a day. It says utilizing primarily Knox Avenue and Gauthier to get on and off 395, with the main entrance being up by Stearns across from Reynolds. I can't fathom being here 20 years. I stayed, the longest I've ever stayed anywhere, and then finally falling in love with this area and realizing its beauty. I can't imagine my life or the life of the people who live around here, around this area, when all the building's done and the blasting and the ruining of our water. 800 tractor trailers day and night going past my house, going past all the people's houses that live on Gauthier and Knox and up by Reynolds. I suppose it's an individual thing. It only affects you if you happen to be somewhere it's going to affect you. But as a town council looking out for the residents, and I know my property's value is going to drop significantly, I wish I had not done the construction on my house and wasted the $15,000 to $20,000 I did, because I'm never going to be able to retrieve it now. I personally can't live next to 800 tractor trailers going back and forth day and night, day and night. I would just hope that any of you in here in the future would really want to look out for the townspeople's best interest. I hope your pockets aren't being lined by any of them. I really, sincerely, I trusted this town. I liked what was happening, the new businesses on Main Street. I've decided after being a New York resident for most of my life that this was home now and I was going to stay here. And now I'm just finding a way to figure out how to leave. How to leave my home of 23 years. And I just want to tell you a personal perspective. And if any of you can imagine in your own homes, less than 400 feet away, what would you do if you knew 800 tractor trailers were going to pass that little road by your house every day? What would you do? Who would you complain to? The town council? Would you hope they'd have some pity on doing something or trying some way to stop this? Some kind of moratorium right now on then, even though supposedly it's grandfathered in. Finding some way of helping the people who pay our taxes, the people who have been here, the people that care about this area and have decided to make it their home. Some way you can help us. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Angelina Wagner. I live at 3 Providence Street in Putnam. I'm not actually sure what you guys are going to end up discussing about the moratorium tonight. I just realized it was on the agenda earlier today. But I do want to say that I've sat in every inland wetlands meeting, and I've sat in every planning and zoning meeting, and I've talked with the residents of this community, and I'm not even a part of this community. And every meeting, thank you, Justin, every meeting, it gets more and more emotionally intense, and it's because they don't have a place to voice their concerns. I watch the residents go out and do their work to research things, to only talk about inland wetlands things, and then to realize that the concerns that they really wanted to bring up, there was nowhere for them to talk about it because the application in planning and zoning is as of right. So even if they say anything, it doesn't carry any weight towards the decision making. And I do believe that the residents in this community deserve to choose what this community looks like moving forward because they're the ones that are going to live here. Their children are the ones that are going to live here. I know people who said, I wanted to come back here and die here, and now I'm having to sell my house to leave here because this feels like a nightmare. So whatever the discussion is, I do hope you support it, because in doing so, you're going to give your constituents a voice to decide what this community looks like that they are a part of. Thank you.
Good evening, Claudette Rogers, 294 Putnam Pike, and I just want to talk on the possible decision about approving a pathway from Owen Bell to the Five Guys Plaza on. I just was concerned that they might use this sidewalk for their deliveries, because as of now, I'm seeing a lot of their delivery trucks having a hard time getting in there and parking by the road or doing something unsafe on that aspect. I think with the not giving them access at the beginning to have their drive-through and a driveway through Owen Bell Park, I'm just concerned that, like I said, before all us citizens were concerned of the child safety there, and I have no problem with Owen Bell being the overflow parking for Five Guys and stuff, and I think that whatever, it's all good. That pathway has been there for a long time, long before Five Guys, and to put a sidewalk there that we're responsible for, I think could be feasible, but I think you should put something in there that says they are not allowed to get delivery trucks. They're not allowed to have their box trucks go into Owen Bell Park. And about the November ballot question, I really think that we should put that on there so we could get a gist of how the community is feeling about warehouses and distribution centers or even data centers. I know there's a question about, who in the community is for this and who isn't, and what are the reasons they are for it. I have seen all the presentations, and I've seen some very shady stuff for the normal everyday citizen, like to pick up on, that they're only going to get traffic from north and south on 395. Like, it's not even like, it's a no-brainer. No matter what, you've got to do a traffic report for all roads, but they didn't do 6 on purpose, and they didn't. And this is just me, everyday citizen, and me knowing that they said that the closest aquifer was 4 miles north when it's right under them. It might have receded back to under Danielson, but it started 10 years ago, 16 years ago. It started up at Westcott and went down there. So them blasting up there, no matter what, there's underneath that bedrock is the path to our town aquifer that feeds many people. So I think that should be on the ballot, and I don't know if it costs more money each question on the ballot, but I also think there should be something about keeping the quiet corner quiet. Is that what the community wants? This is quiet corner yoga. I've seen many businesses with the quiet corner. It's even on the town hall itself, is the quiet corner. I think that should be a question on there, if that could be put on there. And the last Green Valley green. I think that should be a question too, because I don't know if people understand, but Johnston, Rhode Island is not part of the Green Valley. The last Green Valley. Johnston, Rhode Island is not, and that's why it can have that. I think Uline and Plainfield should get some kind of fine for dark skies pollution, because they have built this huge warehouse, and a huge warehouse, and all this impacts whatever, but they built huge windows so that it lights up everybody's night sky. It should be because we are the last Green Valley, from Plainfield up to Webster. That's the Green Valley, all the way out to, it's all the 395, and it's so important for, if you talk to the Audubon and the bird migration and the animals, and this, whatever. So Last Green Valley, I think that should be on there. And should the town of Killingly seek legal counsel to hold the dam's owner responsible to fix the dam? I think that I saw a YouTube video that it was 11 years ago that DEEP first started putting pressure on this dam owner, and there has been no accountability to them. And they were saying then that, oh, people could die and it could be devastating or whatever, but that nobody has taken any action in 11 years from that. And now we've reached it, and we're causing tremendous damage to the environment, and we're just sitting idle while we wait for a DEP to do something. I don't know. I don't know if November, I think by November they're supposed to have so maybe that wouldn't be a good one. But I just wanted to say something also. Justin said something earlier about you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But if you really know the reason, a horse will not drink bad water. The horses drink the water in Killingly. Up on 101, those horses drink that water. So with getting rid of the dam, with getting rid of the wetlands down the Whetstone Mills that filter out the water, I'm not sure if those horses will drink that water. I will gladly bring water from up out of the aquifer area up on Valley Road after it's been filtered, and I will bring you guys water from down in Danielson past the sewer plant. You know, do you want recycled toilet water or do you want fresh, clean water? That's where I think we should go. Good night.
Hi, I'm Cindy DeMeo on 154 Green Hollow. I can't say that I've heard too much of anything that I don't disagree with, because everybody has said something. So rather than me trying to pinpoint everything that I agree with, the ecosystem, we really need to do some studies. I already see birds coming down from the north to the south, and I'm not talking about, migration in the fall. I'm talking about birds that are usually up north are now down in Killingly, and I'm convinced this has to do with the dam. There's no water, there's less fish, the animals are moving already. This is going to be devastating to this area. The dam, the distribution centers, and I can't say that I'm not convinced that the dam got drained. You're going to hear a little bit of conspiracy theory here. That the dam didn't get drained, so there was less wetlands in this area, so these distribution centers could go in easier. That's kind of where my head's going with that. I'd like to request a hearing with the citizens of Killingly and the Planning and Zoning Committee so we can get this language back to where it was, if it ever was, but at least get it to a point to where these distribution centers can't go in. Warehouses, yeah, for a certain a limit to later be discussed, but this is ridiculous. We're going to ruin this area if we let this happen. I support putting the issue of building the distribution centers in Killingly on the ballot for a non-binding referendum. And I would also like to somehow get some studies done of the ecosystem on what's going to happen. Seriously. I too have lived here for 23 years, and it's the longest I have lived anywhere. And I call it my home. And then I did my family tree, and I found out that I have ancestors buried here from the 1700s. Like, this really is my home. I can't say anymore. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for all you do and for listening to our concerns. I'm kind of opposed to nearly everything that's going on lately. And it just like everywhere I turn and everything I see, and it's all so cloudy. And, you know, like we have these Husky
Excuse
people.
me, could you give us your name and address,
I'm
please?
sorry, Diana Weber, 238 Mashantuck Road. So I'm obviously directly impacted by this place up there, so as well as literally hundreds, if not 1,000 other residents that are gonna hear it, see it, feel it, breathe it. You know, I mean, I can't even imagine the air when there's, you know, like 400 trucks chugging it out everywhere. And, you know, it's like, and then the other thing is, I've grown up there. I know this land, actually, and I know that, like, the bears have their caves up there, and the animals, everybody's up there, and it's like they start blasting and poisoning things and stuff. It's like they're coming to us, you know? So now the property that I bought and paid for, and for actually my dogs, you know, that they would be safe, or it would be up to me to keep them safe, they'll no longer be safe. 4 acres won't be enough. I have water. I have a dam, I have Mashantuck Brook. They're gonna come, and they're gonna affect my quality of life. But what I wanna know is who, like which board, because I saw on the website, the inland wetlands, it does say that they're responsible for like our well-being, you know, and it's like, who is looking out for us as far as, you know, our health goes, our quality of life, our property values, our, like, I'd want to leave, and I couldn't because our houses are not going to be able to be sold. You know, when Husky comes in here, I think they're very disrespectful. I think they're rude. They do these big document dumps every time we have a meeting. And it's like, here we are, you know, high school education, trying to like go through them and say, what is this? You know, like what? So like, I don't believe any of their studies. I don't believe anything. And I think on that alone, inland wetlands could say no, because it's like nothing is factual. It's either from years ago, or it's just when you read through them, if they were in front of P&Z, it would be, it's not in your purview. If they were in front of inland wetlands, they'd say, it's not in your purview, you know, when certain things were brought up to them and everything, because the fact of the matter was that none of this is good, and it doesn't belong there. And I think we have an opportunity with inland wetlands to say no, because it's just not the right place for it. And you don't have to be an engineer to know that. In fact, their engineer, our engineer, the first guy from Ty and Bond, said basically in a summary, if you can put it anywhere else, do. Because that's not, and then all of a sudden there's a new slick guy from Ty and Bond, and 70 issues are addressed in 3 weeks, and we have another meeting, and everything's great now. Every issue was, you know, take it right down to taking 3 feet. So now we look at the air handlers because they're just going to take down their parapets, you know, or whatever. But it's very, very sad what's happening here. And I think it's obscene for them to think that we just accept it as fact, you know, because it's not. And like, you're our elected officials. So do you have, or do you feel any responsibility over these commissioners that you appoint and the work that they're doing and everything? Because I just want somebody to be responsible for that we've trusted to say, you know what, this isn't going to be good for anybody. And we can't expect people to close their windows and sit in their house because they can't sit in their yard because they're chugging stuff, you know? And it's like they say, you know, we get no answers. We get the big document dump, but we get no answers. They said they're gonna chop and spray. That's how they're gonna get rid of every living thing up there. But when we asked them to identify the poison that they're gonna use, they didn't. And apparently with that spraying on that scale, it can travel as far as a mile away. Now, there's a farm right at the corner of Mashantuck and Cook Hill Road, and they support the farmers market every Saturday. What about them? What about their land? I mean, this stuff is gonna be in the air, it's gonna be coming down, it's gonna be in our water, it's gonna be in our ground. I grow all my own vegetables. I would never again, never again. And like I said, I really don't think I could get out of here. I'm sorry. The moratorium, yes, I'm all for it. At least 2 years, so you can get your house in order, because things are not in order around here. Things are really not in order. Towns are doing more on less, and no traffic impacts. Their people stood here and told us that it's not going to have an impact. Traffic, guy gets up here, not going to have an impact. Audio guy gets up here, not going to have an impact. That's insulting. That's insulting, especially when you're 3,000 feet away from this thing, So what are we doing? Like, why are we allowing these bullies to just come in here and tell us how it's going to be? And, last week I had to go to the assessor's office, and I thought, well, I might just ask Jonathan a couple of questions, because he seems to be the one with all the answers about everything. And on my way out, I saw Anne Marie, and I said, oh, you're not gone yet? And she said, no, end of the month. And I said, how could you? How dare you? How could you? What were you thinking? She's like, I live here too. And I said, you don't live there. We know where you live. We want to put a sign on you. I said, but how? How does this even happen? And I said, did you sign an NDA? And she's like, we were asked not, her answer was, we were asked not to disclose things, and we didn't. That's pretty damning. And I just was like, oh my God. I mean, it's like, you said the quiet part out loud. I think I totally caught her off guard, because I was just like, but it's like, it's enough. None of this was done right. It wasn't done out in the open. It was like, it's almost, I can't say it's criminal, but it's like, but the point of the matter is, you're hurting Killingly's residents. You're not helping anybody. Whatever mess you've gotten yourselves into, or deals that have been made, or that you think you can't get out of, you can. You can. Read your inland wetlands guide, and right in there's a way out. And that, together with their ridiculous expert testimony, and even that, they can't just give us a traffic thing. It's got to be 151 pages long, and and that's where they come in here with these rolls of maps and all these, just to make the counselors go, whoa, Jonathan, can you help us out with that? That's a lot of documents to go through, and this and that. So it's like, we see it, we get it. We're not sitting here like a bunch of country bumpkins, and we don't know what's going on. We know what's going on. And it's not right, and it's got to stop. And I'm really counting on you guys, the elected officials, the ones that should have some oversight over the people you appointed, to just say enough. And as far as Miss Anne Marie goes, I was never so shocked in all my life. And if that's the kind of stuff that was going on 3 years ago.
We can't talk about town people. You got to be careful.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was just on my outing last week that happened to happen, and it just concerns me as a resident that things aren't above board or whatever. But she said that was when Costco was here too, so that was done back then.
So can you finish? You're well over your time limit, so
No,
we're getting beyond.
Thank you for giving me that time. I appreciate it.
Would you indulge me another minute? Thank you. Ralph Mastrangelo, 2 Starling Court. What I wanted to say at the beginning of my comments, when I had the Amazon package and I was on my way to vote, was the irony that I don't get to vote. I mean, I voted on the budget. Any resident of Killingly of voting age could vote on the budget because it affects every Killingly resident, but not this. We are beholden to 3 people. There are 5 people on the IWWC, and we are beholden to 3 of them. We need 3 of them to vote no. 3 people are going to affect the lives of thousands of Killingly residents. How do you square that? How do you say that's okay, that I can vote on the budget? I mean, it should take a commission to say, yeah, that budget seems reasonable. Let's get 5 votes, and that's the majority, and it passes. No, because there would be an uprising. The townspeople want to be able to vote on that. I think that we deserve to have the right to vote on this. It affects every resident of Killingly, not just those of voting age, but children and future children. So we should be able to vote on that, and we don't. So I was just struck by that irony, and I wanted to say that when I got the Amazon package in one hand and I'm on my way to vote, and I say, but I can't vote on this. The other thing is, I wanted to say is that the attorney, Thomas Cody, he represents the Ryan Companies. He's with Robinson and Cole out of Hartford. He expressed some indignation last Monday night that this process has taken 5 months. He was aghast that it took 5 months. Now, they were probably in the planning phases of this for 3 years. They probably anticipated every inevitable objection that was going to come their way, and they were prepared for it. They had their responses prepared. We had to play catch up. We had 5 months. We're not professionals. People on the Inland Waterways and Wetlands Commission, they're not hydrology professionals. We consulted with Ty and Bond, and what did they do? They overwhelmed us with papers. Here, go read these. It's only 600 pages. You know, come up with answers by the next meeting. So, the question that was put to the commission that night was, if you vote yes, and I do expect some answers, that I hopefully expect some answers to my questions prior, what about these 5 months? And I think the commission chairperson said, well, it's by state statute. When someone submits an application, the town has 5 months to respond. So it's really out of our hands. And the person says, what happens if you vote no? Does that get us more time? And they said, well, yeah, it certainly does. So I just want to mention that. I just want to drop that little nugget that voting no could buy us the time that we need to fully investigate this. And I did do, there was somebody mentioning the Ryan Companies. Yeah, they got $350,000 lawsuit for sexual harassment, but they were also, some of their work product was challenged because it wasn't accurate. And there were challenges in court over this. And I just did a brief Google search on sanctions and legal issues, Ryan Companies, and there's a list. There's a long list. They're not ethical actors. They're beholden, Ryan Companies is beholden to one party and one party only, and that's Amazon. Attorney Cody is beholden to one party and one party only, and that's Ryan Companies, indirectly to Amazon.
So could you sum her up, because we're way over our time frame for this.
I thank you. No, I thank you for giving me this additional time. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Is there any other further public comment? Is there any other further public comment? Last call. Is there any other further public comment?
Yes. I wasn't going to say anything until 10. name's Patricia Clausen. I live at 18 Putnam Road in Dayville. I'm a professional actor. This is what I do, and yet I'm nervous because I had to listen to all of these eloquent speakers, not just them, but these poor people who are begging you, begging this town for help. I can tell you that I was told not to write letters anymore. I write letters because usually on this day and when these events happen, I have a 6-hour drive. Well, no, 3-hour drive there and back to educate my grandson. And I can't make these meetings. So I write letters. I was told I couldn't write letters. I was told that I wrote too many letters. I wrote one a week. Too many, they were overwhelmed. Everybody in this town who pays taxes has a right to say something. My letters address the ecological portion of it. I own a piece of property that has beautiful, beautiful waterways. And I've seen it change. Yeah. I have a bald eagle. I know him. We've named him. Yes. I've seen his babies. Yeah. It's amazing. But it's going to change because of light pollution, noise pollution, and the construction that's going to go on endlessly. If you ever, and I did, live in a place where that constant, you're going to hear that for days and months and months. Nobody addresses that. Ryan Corporation doesn't care about us. They don't care about you. They don't care about them. They don't care about me or the animals. They think we're kooks. They think we're ignorant. Yeah, well, money doesn't buy you class, and they don't have any. We do, I hope. So that's why I'm here. I wasn't going to speak because I thought I would get a little too, but I love this town, and I'm going to do whatever I can to keep it as beautiful, green, lush, farm-filled, wonderful, healthy as I can. So thank you all.
Well, you've already been up. We're way over time. I can't let you speak for the third time. That's I'm gonna get. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken?
My name is Miriam Smith from 10 Keys Road in Danielson. It's pretty disgusting to see what's going on around here. You combine the warehouses. Used to be the last Green Valley, and we're going to be a land of 1,000 warehouses. Maybe that should be the new catchphrase, because these companies will be more than happy to just come in here and build warehouse after warehouse after warehouse. And that's the direction it's heading. This area is X marks the spot between Boston and New York City. And I'll tell you, they're not putting these places in Greenwich. I'd like to see that, huh? That's who's ordering all the damn packages. So, they're not building on brown sites because that's too expensive. It's cheaper to go in and spray and cut trees. And I'll tell you, it takes a long time to come back from that. And there's plenty of urban sprawl all around us. Just drive 30 minutes in either direction, and you'll find urban sprawl. And it's ugly, and that's not Killingly right now. But it can be, and they'll be more than happy to have nice, ugly sprawl with polluted water and light pollution and noise pollution. And and these homeowners are correct. No one's going to buy those houses. No one wants to live next to that. But more importantly, for other people, is that it's not going to be like this anymore. It'll be like Johnston, right? If that's where you want to live, you can have it. And that's it. Thank you very much. Thanks for hearing all our kvetching.
Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken yet and would like to speak?
I spoke on the...
Okay, yeah, you spoke on the public hearing, okay.
Carol Cooper Riley, 100 Cook Hill Road in South Killingly. I'm going to be short and sweet. I agree with most of what everybody said. Today, I thought we were talking about moratorium. I didn't realize we could make comments on others. My thoughts on the moratorium. Personally, I believe this is the correct move for the town council to vote in. As a town council, you are charged to represent your constituents. Many people have spoken that distribution centers and data centers are not wanted in our town. I have lived here most of my whole life, not the 20-something, 60-something. And I've lived right here in South Killingly. I went to school here, I worked here for the town, and I spent a lot of time volunteering here. I've spoken to many people about this, and almost all are not in favor of these projects. As many have said, the noise, the traffic, the lights, the land, the animals, and the water we all depend on will be affected. Please take into account what your fellow Killingly families want. Keep us rural. Thank you.
I'd like a motion to suspend the rules so we can announce the results of the referendum. Second? All in favor? Okay, let's see. Okay, Board of Education results. Yes, 651, no, 476. So the motion carries. The too high, there was 467 who voted too high and 21 voted too low. Okay, back to our meeting. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay, our public presentations are over. Okay, next on the agenda. Any council comments?
I would like to have the town manager update about what the attorney said when he came in the other week, about how our involvement.
Our involvement in planning and zoning and inland wetlands decisions.
Right.
You generally do not have any involvement. Your role is to appoint, in this town, your role is to appoint those boards and commissions. Those boards and commissions, in turn, set the rules that they're going to follow. They're responsible for adopting zoning regulations, inland wetlands regulations. Those powers are given to them by state statute. And so you have no role in making a decision. You have no vote in making a decision, the things that come before them. They vote whether the applicant has met their requirements or not. What those requirements involve depend on the particular application, whether it's special permit, whether it's as of right. They have broader discretion in making zoning regulation changes and zoning map changes. And the Inland Wetlands Commission has jurisdiction over wetlands impacts and whether they're going to allow a wetlands impact, whether they're going to require mitigation, or whether they think it's unreasonable and they're going to deny it.
I also asked him whether we could have a referendum on the projects, and he said,
no. Because the powers to approve land development projects under Connecticut state statutes are delegated to planning and zoning commissions by law.
There's no more comment from the, there's no more comment.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it's the state actually gives them, Planning and Zoning and Wetlands Committee, the power. We don't give them any power. All we're doing is putting them in office based on their interview and assuming that they will do the best for their job. So we actually, as town council, cannot push their hand one way in a direction or the other, because we actually didn't give them the power, the state did.
That's correct.
Okay.
And if you're seen giving them, if you're seen on record trying to interfere or direct them on how to make a decision, you can open the town up to an appeal, which could then undermine whatever decision it is they make for either party, for either side. So an appeal can go either way.
So the people, you vote the town council in. If you don't like what the town council's doing, you don't vote that person in. The town council votes in the planning and zoning commissioners. If you don't like what the planning and zoning commissioners are doing, you write public comment and you tell us that you don't like what they're doing. So when it's time for their reappointment, they can be not reappointed. You are at the top of the chain of command. So the Planning and Zoning Commission is supposed to look for direction from the people. So in regards to the ballot, non-binding ballot questions, when we presented, when we were at the Planning and Zoning workshops and at their meetings, they said, "Where are your people?" We brought the people, and they didn't like the people being there. And now that the people are at the meetings, they're saying, well, the silent majority isn't here. So it was very hypocritical. That's the purpose of the non-binding ballot questions, to see how many people in the town actually do not want warehouses, distribution centers, or want some restrictions on them. And I also agree with Al about adding a second ballot question about data centers, because there has been a lot of underhandedness, and as other municipalities have been making their planning and zoning regulations stricter to limit warehouses and distribution centers, limiting their size, limiting to where they can be placed. Killingly's planning and zoning regulations have been watered down to open the doors to these developers. So that is the purpose of the moratorium. So in September of 2022, the attorney for the landowners of the two properties came forth, and I'm not sure which meeting it was because I believe I was on vacation. They asked that warehouses and distribution centers be added as a special permit, month by month, and it was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. It did go to public hearing, but at that time, people were not aware. It was very hard to get people to come to meetings. It was very hard to get them to know what was going on. So month by month, those regulations were manipulated. They were manipulated to open the door for Ryan Companies and Amazon to come and build on that property. It's not against the law. It is just unethical behavior. So that is the purpose of the moratorium. To have, I do believe that the Planning and Zoning Commission was blindsided, because if you go back to the minutes, it does actually say that distribution centers is just a new name for warehouses. So I do believe they were blindsided. And additionally, in regards to data centers, they updated their regulations, their definitions. Data centers is under public service corporations. Who would even think to look at data centers under public service corporations? And that can go into several zones as a special permit. But even though Ryan Companies, that distribution center is as of right, which means they have a right to build there, they still have to comply with all the site plan regulations. And Attorney Cody has been very threatening with the public and very condescending. He said at the last meeting that we can't deny their application by speculation, by speculative data. But that's all that they've presented to us, is nothing but speculation. If you research Amazon, I'm going to try to answer most of these questions unless Ed wants to
go
answer.
ahead.
In regards to the truck traffic, they said 800 a day. They said that was a conservative estimate. What does conservative mean? It means it's less than normal. So if you go and you look at the traffic study for the proposed Costco plant, which they didn't approve because there wasn't a zone text, the zone wasn't changed. Costco was proposing 1,400 trucks a day. So why would Amazon, with the same size plant, be proposing 800 trucks a day? Because they have a conservative estimate. All of the research that I have done in regards to jobs, they go through all of their employees within 12 to 15 months. Every single employee has been hired and left. And this is a prototype plant. It's a prototype robotics. It's a prototype robotics plant. So that's why there's going to be a lot of robots and not as many employees. So again, Brian did address that this is a planning and zoning decision. It went from special permit and it was added to business park as of right. But they still have to comply with all of the regulations. And in regards to Attorney Cody saying that it's taken 5 months, I believe the longer people are researching this, the longer they're going to find out more information, more damning information about all of their studies, because they are all speculative. Nothing is written in stone. So when he says our decision can't be just speculative, that's what they're thinking we're going to believe is their speculation of what's going to happen. The sanitary sewer plant, I know Michelle asked about what type of a system was going in. They wouldn't answer that. I believe it's 7,800 gallons. So yes, if they have all of that water coming from a rainstorm, it is not going to be able to handle that water. And again, they throw it in our face that the sanitary sewers up to DEEP's approval, as if we don't have a say in it. If it doesn't comply and it's not going to work in that area, there's no reason not to agree with them. It can be refused and not given approval. Also with the traffic study, everything was based on speculation. If that traffic, and again, they said that these are state roads, but I believe it's Killingly who plows those roads and keeps them open. And I have attended every planning and zoning meeting, every inland wetlands and watercourse meeting, except for the last one. I did watch that because I was away. But we are allowed a voice because everybody is a citizen. And we do have to differentiate if we're a citizen or we're acting as a part of the town council. So what else? I think I covered most of those.
Whatever, you
have
the floor.
So I do agree with the non-binding ballot question, and also probably adding data centers. And in regards to the water, I forget which of the Ryan Company's representatives said he believes that the water will be safe. Those aren't the exact words. They have no hydrologic study. We were just told by Attorney Cody that it's not on an aquifer, so they have totally ignored all of the concerns, and yes, all of the bodies of water and all of the aquifers are interconnected. It doesn't matter if you're on a well, if you're on public water, all of that water comes from the same place. And they have ignored those questions. There's no answer to them. The answer was that it's not on an aquifer, but they're going to be on the recharge area. So that is a big concern. And any of the questions basically that I have asked have not been addressed. And it's basically been threats of, we have to approve this because it's as of right. It is only as of right to put that distribution center there. It is not as of right to build it. They still have to comply with all the rules and regulations of planning and zoning and inland wetlands and watercourse.
Tony?
The one gentleman had reverberating about, I don't know if we can answer this, that's two things. If inland wetlands votes no, is it a hard no? And if they vote yes, is it a stamp that is that done? And so that's, go ahead, I'll wait for that one
If they
first.
vote no, they can file for an appeal. But if inland wetlands watercourses votes yes, it goes to planning and zoning, but it is not an automatic stamp. They still have to comply with all of the site plans, regulations, and as far as their stormwater maintenance plans, those are all speculative. None of that is proven. So if our information can't be speculative, neither can theirs. If their information is speculative and it's not on real data, I would say yes.
No more, there's no, public comment is over, sorry. No, you're out of line. No, there's no clarification at this point in the meeting. I extended the public participation far longer than I should have, but I want to give everybody some chance to come forward. Any other council comments?
I just wanted to add that I don't know if you can do this, but on the I believe it's Town Farm Road, I think it made common sense I don't think a tractor trailer can get into Owen Bell Park for delivery, but is that possible for the town to put something about what type of traffic goes down that road? I wouldn't imagine that someone would go in there and try to deliver with a tractor trailer, but is that something, or is that DOT?
Yeah, we could take a look at the situation and see what we can do.
And then lastly, I didn't think about this till literally just today, but when we did the traffic study, when Walmart wanted to come in, it was deemed that going southbound onto 395 from there onto Gauthier and Knox, you couldn't make that turn onto Gauthier if someone was at the light and they were going to go east or west onto Westcott. And that's a high ledge down to Davis Place. So I don't know if anyone's talked about that being on the traffic study, but it was a big reason that those trucks traveling onto Gauthier going southbound on 395 was going to be a real problem in Knox. And it just came to mind. So was that addressed? I honestly didn't have enough involvement in this, but I'll admit that.
The turning radiuses and the concerns were addressed, but again, it's kind of thrown in our face that it's up to the state to approve it because it's state roads. But yes, the concern of the traffic and the turning radiuses.
But I believe they didn't last time, is my point. I believe they didn't approve it last time for Walmart, and it was a big sticking point.
During that time, warehouses and distribution centers were in industrial, and they wanted to go for a zone change, and this is business park. And in 2022, it was changed to as of right.
Dave?
For a ballot question, you have to go through the 60 days in advance, and the Secretary of State has to approve it.
Just going ahead to that agenda item, I guess. There are some problems with putting an advisory question on the November ballot because the Secretary of State has ruled and interpreted state statute that advisory questions cannot go on a November ballot. Under our charter, we may have discretion to add advisory questions during our May ballot questions or at another special time that we designate, so we can look at that. Also, you have to be careful with the wording of the question. You cannot sell the question with the question, if you know what I mean.
I know,
Okay.
but it's 60 days that you have to do it ahead of time.
There's a time frame, yep.
Yes.
Are there any other council comments?
And I'll add some color to what happens if a commission votes no.
Sure.
The party grieved by the no vote can then file an administrative appeal with the Superior Court. Oftentimes, they'll get consolidated onto a state central docket. And these hearings are not de novo, meaning you don't go and present new evidence to the judge. It's based on the record created at the board or committee level. And so when I clerked for things 15 years ago, they bring in tapes and all this stuff and paperwork, boxes of paperwork. And that's probably what will happen here. So it's important that folks do go speak at those meetings and get on record and air their grievances.
Thank you.
But I would imagine if the IWWC or Planning and Zoning, issues a no vote, that we'd be in litigation with this almost certainly.
Any other council comments?
Just to follow up on what Jonathan was saying, just to define this a little more, litigation. So when we vote no, essentially we could be looking at a cost of lawyers' fees because of it.
Not that we're voting no. The Planning and Zoning Committee
That's
or the
fine.
Inland Wetlands Watercourses Commission. And yes, our town attorney would be representing the interests of those commissions and the town ultimately at the Superior Court.
Okay, just clarifying it for myself.
Dave?
The question was asked, what are we getting out of it? Is there any reference so far of what the town would get if it came here?
There hasn't been any request for any special tax incentives. They have not requested any special pilot agreement. So the property would be valued based on what the construction cost is, and they would be assigned a tax bill based on the mill rate at the time.
So as of right now, we have nothing on the table.
We have not been requested to provide them with any special tax incentives. Like I believe Walmart requested in the past. There was some evaluation of that with the Walmart distribution center 20 years ago. This applicant has not asked for anything like that.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna weigh in. Amazon usually goes for tax stabilization agreements, and they usually try to go for the lowest taxes that they can get away with. That's from my research.
With regard to bonding for projects like this, who has the say in that? Is that wetlands? Is it planning and zoning? Is it the town attorney? Where does that, how does that come about?
Yeah, so each of the two commissions, the Planning and Zoning Commission and Inland Wetlands, have the authority to request bonds to ensure the improvements are made to their satisfaction. With the Inland Wetlands Commission, the bond is to cover the work that's done for the wetlands crossing and the erosion control measures that need to be taken or any mitigation that they require. So that bond value is to cover that. And then with the planning and zoning decision, the bond is to cover elements of site restoration, anything that is required to be considered a public improvement. So it's not a bond that covers the value of the construction on the site. It covers specific things that we're requiring to be done that are incidental to the site. So each of those commissions has the authority to require that. Typically, they would provide an estimate. That would be something that gets reviewed by our engineer, and then we would, agree on the value or increase the value, and then they would put that bond up before they can go forward.
So with inland wetlands, because the public hearing is closed, so shouldn't that have been, the bond discussion should have occurred No,
No, it's typically after the hearing is closed, because a bond is only set if the motion is to approve. You don't set a bond if the motion is to deny. So when you're going to consider your decision and you're making the motion, one of the conditions in the motion is typically to set a bond and have that bond be set and agreed to after the decision is made. So it's a condition of approval.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. There was a question here about Bailey Hill mill site and the back taxes. Could you shed any light on that?
I can shed a little bit of light. We're aware that there are back taxes on the brownfield properties that we have in town, Bailey Hill and Blueville and others. And the idea, I think, is to continue to do the environmental assessment and characterizations of those properties, working with EPA and other state and federal agencies until we have a package that we can present as a redevelopment opportunity. And at that time, if the owners are non-cooperative or not interested in cooperating or just abandoned, then we can use those tax liens as leverage to create that opportunity for another party to come in and redo the situation.
Go ahead, Dave.
So if they're using local roads, there's no way of being able to assess them the damage they're doing on the local roads.
No, I mean, you can't, state statute doesn't authorize us to collect impact fees for transportation improvements. Under a site plan review, you have, not 100% limited, but you have limited authority to require off-site improvements to public amenities. With a special permit application, if this was a special permit application, would have more discretion and authority to require that. So the one on Putnam Pike would be different because that's a special permit application. The Westcott Road one is an as-of-right site plan review. And they are some of them are state roads, so the state is the primary authority over deciding how that's going to work. We do have some input into it, but they're the decision maker.
So what would they have to ask for, a bond for further improvements to our roads?
The state would require a bond for the improvements to their road.
What about the town? You're out?
If there were improvements to the town road that we're requiring, then we could ask for a bond for them. But
That we would require,
but we're
or the
limited.
state would require it.
No, if it's local roads, then we could require it. If it's state roads, then the state could require it.
Thank you.
But if there's an issue where we have to, if the state, when they're looking at their traffic study, and they say we have to improve our town road and widen the road, if the town would have to purchase property, that would have to go to a town meeting type vote.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the state can compel us to improve our roads
Okay, I'm just.
or go acquire property. If they wanted to make that a condition of their approval, then we would have to cooperate with that in some way.
Okay, that's.
Can you just, can you clarify, so I think the gentleman had asked about Bailey Hill, and you mentioned the taxes, but it sounded like the way that you explained it there is being in arrearage for 10 years, the town, I'm assuming, could take that property, but then we'd be taking on the responsibility of all the environmental cleanup.
Yeah, I think if we thought that we could collect those taxes, we would have.
Yep.
And putting it to a tax sale in an effort to force the sale could leave us open to, some liability in terms
Of cleanup.
of cleanup, which
Okay.
is what we're trying to avoid.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead. Sure.
I forgot to address Justin Fisher's comment about working together to find the solutions of the Old Killingley Pond. I would like to do that because all of our aquifers and waterways are all interconnected. There's, like I had said before, there's really no differentiation between private wells and private water. That private water comes from, public water rather, comes from our aquifers.
Is there a way of doing the town can do a study just to have a baseline of what our water is like now? And if something happens, to have a leg to stand on?
Yeah, I mean, there are hydrological assessments you can do. The reports that I've looked at are not extremely scientific. They're generic and generalized based on what they can calculate, based on known data points that might be available in aquifer mapping. They might do sampling of certain areas around town. It could be something that costs between, the estimates I looked at were from $80,000 to over $200,000 to do a report like that.
Okay.
Sure.
I had asked that there is going to be some money set aside. I think if they had problems with the stormwater collection, and I had asked about money being put aside for people's wells that become contaminated or go dry, and that issue was ignored by Attorney Cody. Another one of my questions that he ignored. Can that be addressed?
It's a question for the Planning and Zoning Commission. I mean, I'm want to get careful here about litigating this while we have an open hearing and we're asking all these questions about the application, and it's not in our purview to decide this, so I can bring it up with staff as to, what that question was and whether it was addressed.
Okay, he didn't, Attorney Cody didn't address it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a comment made about developing existing brownfields, and our economic development coordinators is working on all of that. We're working with EPA, DEP on Blueville, Prims, Bailey Hill to try to get those fields moving. Even though there may be back taxes or whatever, it's a tightrope to walk. As Brian was saying, we don't want to take on the liability and put a lien on these properties because it wouldn't be in our best interest. But if we have the EPA and DEP and all those folks working with us on some of that, and then it may take some time, but those projects, we are looking at developing those fields. The biggest area is our sewer problem. The capacity at the sewer plant is hindering anybody even trying to look at some of this stuff right now. So amongst everything else, the sewer issue and getting that plant capacity increased is a big issue. Anybody else have any other further comments? Council members? Okay. Moving on. Reports from liaison. We have no one from Board of Ed. Borough Council liaison.
Oh, the borough's been a little busy in the last month. So our last meeting, regular meeting, was May the 12th. On the 13th, our interim chief, Kevin McNeil, had a station supper with the remaining members that were part of Station 61. The next day, the council actually met with all of those members as well as interim chief McNeil. We had a really good open discussion and conversation with all of them. They aired their concerns. Really had a really good give and take. The 20th was our regular meeting of the week later. In that meeting, just kind of going over status of the borough, our administrator went over the budget, and our budget, even with some of our items being over because of unexpected expenses, we should be ending at or with a surplus. We had one of the members that was actually at the meeting on the 14th had submitted his retirement letter. By the next week, George Keene had issued a letter to the borough saying he was retiring from the department. During that meeting, we also had probably the most members from the fire department actually attend our meeting, and one of them had made a suggestion to the interim chief of adding the borough meeting to I Am Responding, which is a way for Station 61 members to actually say, hey, yeah, we're gonna, letting them know that we had a borough meeting, and then as well as the fire commissioners meeting. So they continue to show great interest in having their comments and concerns. We had to create a new website for the fire department as well as an email. The Facebook page had to be completely rebuilt because the ones that had been in place had been basically taken down. We had to vote on getting a designated cell phone for the fire chief and the borough president because their phones were being basically attacked for decisions that had been made by the whole council. Their phones are being spammed and really not nice things being happened. We actually created a fire department chief's account, which will have new signers, and we'll also, because there used to be a shirt fund or shirt club, and that was never audited, so now this new account will basically serve the same purpose, but it will be part of the audit that's agreed upon. We did, like the town has a suspense list for back taxes we can't collect. The borough has one, we only had 10 on it instead of pages and pages like the town did. What I did find was really very interesting at the end of that meeting, a lot of the members stayed. They talked with a lot of the borough councilors. And as we were all talking, the tones dropped, and the members that were there responded to the call that had come through right after our meeting, and apparently there was a second call that had toned out after that call, and both of those calls were met after our meeting. And then about a week later, on the 29th, was that Mechanic Street fire, and I can honestly tell you, in the 12 years that I have lived on North Street, I have never seen an Attawagan fire truck come flying past my house or any other truck other than South Killing or maybe Danielson. So it was really nice to see that the other departments are coming in and helping, and that fire was brought under control and taken care of, and it's nice to see the changes that are coming along. But other than that, we have a meeting next week. I know the borough fire commissioners were meeting and interviewing. We had applicants for fire chief. I'm not sure how all of those have gone, but I'm assuming that during next week's meeting we'll find out about those decisions and interviews. So we have, that's for next Wednesday. If anybody in the borough wants to come to our meeting, it's second floor at the fire station. You might have a hard time finding parking spaces because it's a lot, there's a lot more people there, and it's good to see because that's what you need in a fire department, so.
It's just going back to the Board of Education as liaison. Would you ask them, we'd really appreciate it if they'd come to our meetings.
I will, they have a meeting tomorrow, so I will relay that message tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, item 12, discussion and acceptance of monthly budget reports. Can I have a motion on the summary report for town government?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. We have no one from the Board of Ed, so I guess there would be no discussion on, we'll pass 12B. Town managers report. Yep.
Still call for a motion to accept their report, the finance report for the Board of Education.
Oh, we still, okay. Could I have a motion? Second?
So moved.
Second it?
Discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Approved. All right, sorry about that. Okay, you're up now.
All right, so a few things in connection with our ongoing effort to look at the planning for the wastewater plant expansion. We're looking forward to getting the basis of design memo from Wright Pierce. There's a draft in the works. We're having a meeting later this week to go over that draft before it gets released to the WPCA. Hopefully we'll have that for their meeting next week. We did start negotiating with Brooklyn regarding their interconnection agreement, which could have a bearing on that wastewater planning. After having a couple meetings in consultation with the WPCA at their meeting last month, it was decided to table those negotiations until the beginning of 2027. They have some ongoing work to do, or they believe that they can get done regarding their regarding their overflows. They think they have a grant in the works that could address that, and it's our belief they might be in a better position to address negotiations in several months, and the agreement doesn't expire till the end of 2027 in any case, so there's really not a time pressure here on doing that. Also, we did, earlier this year, we received a legislative earmark through one of their senator's office is towards the design costs of expanding the plant, and we were able to have that kickoff meeting with their staff last week to get that in the pipeline. So we're just looking to see what other requirements we need to meet to be able to access that $1 million for the next phase of the project. Regarding the sewer moratorium, we did get a signed agreement back from Frito-Lay where they agreed to give up some of their contracted capacity for the next 2 years. The agreement also has 2 one-year extensions. This enabled the WPCA to vote to relax the moratorium, which they did at their last meeting, so we now are able to approve connections for low-flow residential and low-flow commercial development. There was some language to address larger scale flow development, which they tabled for the time being. We're looking at putting together an infiltration inflow program for those larger scale developments where somebody could make improvements to our system to essentially recycle waste and take out stormwater that would create some capacity for those developments. So we're working through the details of that program and the language regarding relaxing the moratorium for those larger developments, and it's something we'll talk about again at their meeting next week. I don't know if they'll be ready to act on it that night, but it's been encouraging to see the ability to approve some of these smaller connections. So it's a good step forward, I think. Regarding the Westfield Community Center, we went out to bid for Phase 3. This is the work on the heat and hot water distribution system for the first floor. We got one bid and came back $3.5 million over. there was some double counting for some of the items in the bid. The feedback we got from the bidder was they did not like the project labor agreement. That was part of the requirements. Met with the Permanent Building Commission. They asked us to go try and negotiate with that one bidder to see how much we can close the gap. So we're going to work on doing that. I don't think we're going to close $3.5 million. I think it's more likely that, we'll look to try and bid this again at a later date, probably late fall, so we can get a better bid economy, going out in the winter season and get more interested contractors. But, more on that. We are closing in on a move from Broad Street to Westfield Community Center. We're looking at after July 4th. There are still a number of unresolved issues with Downs, and we're looking to meet with council, with the Permanent Building Commission next week in executive session to strategize how we're going to resolve those. Regarding the PFAS well contamination, I'm waiting for an updated summary from DEEP on, how many positive test results there are. I know they're continuing to test. We're getting starting to get some test reports in from the DPH tests that were distributed. Those are more widespread around town, and many of them are coming back positive as well, which is not a surprise. I think, you're going to find PFAS almost every place you look for it. We are at the end of the DPH tests. There may be another round of test kits that are available for residents in the fall when they start up that program again. Regarding Old Killingley Pond, not a lot new. We're waiting for Wish to finalize their application for the repair, the air quotes repair to the dam. They were required to do some inspection work before they do that. DEEP had ordered them to lower the pond so they could do the inspection work, and then they found that there were some obstructions and debris in the way, so they're working on removing that so they can complete the inspection. And then my understanding is DEEP is going to allow the water level to come back up a few feet, and then hopefully Wish will turn in their application. We can get started on this process of evaluating the impacts of what they're asking for. Regarding the access road, we've been doing some legwork to get started with that, assuming that the town council will approve of the town doing the work. Even though it was included in the town meeting, you still technically have to authorize us to do that. We do need to go get a revised inland wetlands permit, so we're going to ask for that. It needs a planning and zoning review, so we're going to ask for that this month, and then hopefully next month we'll come back and ask you to authorize that. And in addition to those approvals, the Board of Ed also, because they have administrative control of the property, has to sign off on the configuration. So we're planning this out, working with the fire marshal, looking at the schedule, how much can we do with town forces and what would we need to contract out. And we're looking at putting out a tree clearing bid, at least for the swath, later this month, so we could do that work over the summer. Regarding July 4th celebration coming up, June 28th? 26th. 28th. All right, 26th. We got a small additional grant for that money from the state, $750. Put some additional perks on. Ed is going to go represent the town at a re-signing event on July 4th as the town's dignitary. So I think he's happy to do that. Go up to the Capitol on July 4th. Brickyard project, we did get the authorization to proceed. We're just waiting for the bond paperwork and other certifications back from the contractor with respect to that project. We have a few park improvements that are in the works, resurfacing reconfiguring, I should say, the tennis courts at Westfield to turn them into pickleball courts, and we're working on getting a bid package out for updating the skate park at Owen Bell. Some of the staff updates, I mentioned last month that we were getting a new WPCA superintendent. He started last week, Joseph Julian, off to a good start. He has his Class 4 license to run the plant. So we were happy to get somebody that quickly in that position that has that license, because it is rare. And also the planning director submitted her resignation last week. She'll be retiring at the end of June, and we'll be starting the process for recruiting for that position very shortly. So that's what I've got for my report.
just had a couple of residents in their, with concerns about the Brickyard project, because it's in their neighborhood, about people walking through their yards and about noise. Has there been any consideration to the people in that area?
We are gonna have a stakeholders meeting before the project starts and go over the schedule for the project, the hours of work, the scope of the work, where it'll be done, and people are welcome to come to that meeting, and we can try and address those concerns. I'll get with you when we set that up so they can attend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With the budget referendum passed, we have to wait, what, 2 weeks for something before, so we can't set the mill rate, we have to wait for,
15 days.
okay, just be out there that we can't do that
Yeah.
quite yet.
Not quite yet, but I think we could have a special meeting last week of June.
So, well, as soon as, after that, so we can get the tax
So we can
bills
set the
out.
mill rate, maybe do a couple other things at that meeting.
Okay, that's what just said.
Yeah.
The mill rate, we have to wait just a little
That's
bit of
correct.
time. Just, I want to get that out there
Yeah.
tonight.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
I have a question. I'm back on Westfield, the move and all that. Have we finalized an MOU? I knew we were having issues.
No, actually, so a couple of things on that. There actually is an MOU that was approved a few years ago. So we were looking to revise that to be more specific because there were some changes to the project and changes to the spaces that people were going to use. We've met a few times with the school over the past several months. We haven't been able to meet recently. And then we did get some more proposed revisions last week that we need to look over because they seem to impair what we envision in terms of using the space as a community center. So there's still some more things to work out. We're assuming that we're going to take over the fields July 1, so we're making preparations to do that, you know, with or without the new MOU revisions approved. So it's just something we're continuing to work on, and I guess I would say, you know, that some of the changes that have been proposed have been regressive in terms of where we started and, you know, where we got to now, where things were previously agreed to are now seem to be unagreed. So we'll try and work on resolving that, but it's something that'll come before the council.
I just think that's kind of not such a great idea to move us in there, and, I mean, if we can't even agree on the use of the building before we even get in there. I know one of the things has been a garage space. Now, I don't understand if we're maintaining the fields, why they need any of the garage space, because we're gonna be the ones maintaining the grass and all that. So, I'm just really concerned that we're gonna hamstring ourselves and get into a building and, you know, I mean, I look at the disaster that's the access road. I mean, I don't want to have us backed into a corner because we're half moved in and we're half moved out, because the Board of Ed won't, or isn't being reasonable. And
Well, I hear what you're saying, and hopefully we can work things out, but as I referenced in the beginning, the Board of Ed has already voted to turn that property over to the town. So there is an MOU that says that. So it technically is ours to decide how we want to use it, and the MOU is really an effort to agree on how we're going to use it together, but it is in the town's control.
so does that mean we have to issue them an eviction if they're in our space?
Just trying to avoid saying anything like that, you know.
Can we get a copy of that MOU?
Yeah, I can give you a copy. I'll get you a copy of the one that was voted a few years ago, and you know,
Is it specific enough?
It is. It was specific enough at the time, but there
Should
were.
we update it?
That's what we're working on. We're working on updating it. There have been many progress versions to update it, and time has dragged on, and people haven't agreed to certain things when we're ready to agree to certain things in terms of being more specific. And there's a lot of coordination that needs to occur that we don't want to, we don't need to list everything about who's going to have which security code and so on in this agreement, right? We need to be able to get along with each other, and you work in your space, we'll work in ours, and certain areas will be common areas and other areas will be ours and other areas will be yours. So working out things like who's going to park where, and they've had certain concerns, and we'd like to have a place to put our equipment. They want us to take care of the fields. Fields weren't in such great a condition. They want us to take them over. That's been a sticking point, right? They don't want to help us with that. So anyway,
So are they still going to have children in the building? for
they
education?
operate the KTA, Killingly Therapeutic Academy, in
How is
certain
that
rooms on
going?
the first floor and in the second floor, and we're going to have to segregate those spaces and have security protocols in place so that people can't go back and forth.
So we still gonna be able to vote there without having any
Yeah.
problems?
Yes. Yes.
Because of the security in certain areas?
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the town manager this time?
Just
Okay.
real quick, when I was with the Vision Committee last week, NECOG is literally in Killingly, but when NECOG did speak, we don't use any of their resources for grants for anything. Should we be looking at some of the stuff like you were talking about, WPCA needing developments to have some way of separating out stormwater from sewage that would add capacity to us, in so many words? Is there something we can start actually using NECOG to our benefit for some of these grants?
I wouldn't say we don't use NECOG at all. NECOG has helped us with things from time to time, and if we feel we need help with something from NECOG with a particular program, we can certainly ask. I think that our capacity on staff to write grants for the things that we need is higher than what NECOG's is. NECOG represents many small towns that don't have the capacity to write grants and don't handle the infrastructure that Killingly handles. So I'm not opposed to using NECOG at all if they can help us. We had a meeting with them just the other week to talk about updating the hazard mitigation plan, which could be a source for grants, and we'll work with them on that. And relative to the, improving the sewer system and expanding the treatment capacity, if there's an opportunity to network through NECOG with Brooklyn and Pomfret had a connection at one time, they need, Pomfret would need its infrastructure upgraded. So if there's an opportunity to collaborate there and make that a regional project, that's something we've discussed doing.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're using all the opportunities we have at
Yeah.
our fingertips, and, I just want to understand it with it, so, anywhere we can help, that'd be great.
Okay, moving on. Item 14. Unfinished business for town council action. Consideration and possible decision in ordinance amending chapter 14, section 14-49, property tax relief for public safety volunteers to accelerate the relief schedule. Can I have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
A question asked about if we have any full-time firemen, and I think only Dable has 2 full-time firemen.
There are some other departments that have paid people during the day on like a stipend. I know
Yeah.
Wagon has a couple members during the day on a stipend.
The Danielson also has some stipend.
Volunteers, and they're eligible for this program?
In Danielson, the stipend is only for certain shifts, and I think we have one for our EMS calls, because those are some of our biggest numbers were our EMS calls. Outside of that, everything else is like the mechanics fire, mechanic street fire, and anything that's off hours are usually volunteer
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
Well, there was comment about increasing that amount, but that was asked for by the fire marshal, so I would just go by his recommendations for the sums.
Let me see. Bear with me. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, item 14B, consideration and possible decision in ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 2-62 to stagger terms of office for the Housing Authority to be consistent with state statutes. Can I have a motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Just again, that Carol Green, the director of the Housing Authority, had requested this, that it align with the state.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. 14C, consideration and possible decision, acceptance of proposed pathway to Ornbell Park from 550 Hartford Pike. Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Where did we leave this last time? I can't quite remember.
So where we left this last time, the Planning Commission had referred this to us because it was proposed public improvement to connect the park, Owen Bell Park, to 550 Hartford Pike. And we were looking to get input from the Recreation Commission and Public Works. So the minutes of the Recreation Commission meeting are in your packet. They were in favor of doing the connection, but they wanted to add some lighting along the pathway to illuminate the area. There were some concerns from the Public Works side about adding the lighting because the park is supposed to be closed after hours, so there shouldn't be a need to have lighting in a park that's closed. There are also some concerns about maintenance on the town side of the property, and the suggestion from Public Works was that we go for a gravel path instead of a concrete path, just to make it easier on maintenance and not have an expectation also that we would clear this in the wintertime. There were also, I think, a suggestion in there that if we do accept the park, if we don't go with the gravel path and we do accept it as proposed, that we add signage, restricting, just calling out that the parking is for users of the park and not necessarily the employees of the companies that are at 550. So.
Dave? Yeah, I went and had a hard time finding the path, but it's there, roughly.
Roughly.
But my concern is that since planning and zoning didn't allow them to have the other 2 parking spaces they wanted, this could be employee parking to free up more parking for customers. And there's nothing to prohibit it.
It would be difficult to enforce.
And I'm not sure why you would need a light if you're the park closes at dusk. Right?
Yeah, I agree with that point. Yeah.
Well, the gate's never closed.
Right.
There's a sign that says it's closed.
Close at sunset, right. The gate doesn't close.
The gate
They
doesn't
don't close it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the park is not physically closed, it's just legally closed.
I was at the recreation meeting, which was gonna be part of my report. there was a lot of concerns brought up because, a couple of them actually, well, have been transversing over that
Make-believe path.
made up path. There's roots, there's rocks. There was a lot of discussion about liability issues. I know Lori Zornato had submitted a lot of concerns, and we discussed a lot of them, well, they discussed a lot of them. I just kind of sat and I took everything in because I really felt it was their decision to do it. And after a lot of discussion, they came to the conclusion that the path is, if it's got roots and rocks in the way, it's gonna wear down to the point that it's gonna become more of a trip hazard. Obviously, nobody's gonna be going there during the winter months because, you know, if it's not plowed, it's not plowed. But in the summer months, you know, the concern would be people tripping if we didn't do something. So in the end, they weighed out everything and thought that it would be okay to have the lighting. They understood we couldn't put it on the town side, but asking them to put a spotlight on the back side of their building.
Yep.
Which, you know, I mean, you would think even if you have customers in that back part of that, you would want a little bit more lighting back there anyway. So, I mean, it would be beneficial to the businesses that have people that are parking there, or people that are using the pathway. Let's say, I mean, on the 26th, there's gonna be probably this mass exodus of people coming up and over the hill as they're trying to get out of the park and walking down the road or wherever they left their cars, because they don't wanna be stuck in the line trying to get out of Owen Bell. But they had a lot of questions, they had a lot of concerns, and in the end, the rec commission decided it would be okay. They were okay with having a regular sidewalk, understanding that, you know, the town's, you know, not gonna do anything in the wintertime, that's not gonna be their priority. They already had discussed that they were pretty sure that a lot of the employees were already parking. And, just because, and then they started talking about the people that park over in Bell Park and they're not across the road, which is even crazier than parking at Owen Bell and coming down through there. So, I mean, people are gonna park where they're gonna park. I mean, they do that up during Amarante's light show. There's signs all over the place, don't park, and they park on darkened 101 and run across. So, I mean, there's only so much, but yeah, I would have no problem with us putting in signage that, hey, you're not supposed to be, you know, this is only supposed to be for park visitors, not for employees. But yeah, rec was, they discussed everything. But yeah, they thought the fact that continued use of a dirt path would lead to ruts, and that would be more of a trip hazard than having a sidewalk. So.
What was the conclusion? They want to have a paved?
Yes, they thought a paved one would be a good idea, rather than leaving it a dirt path.
So I disagree. It's all, this whole project has been made for the benefit of the developer, from allowing them to put the building in the back because it was on a hill and they said there was too much of an incline because the building should have been in the front because of village commercial. They were allowed to put it in back. They took it down to ground level. They were allowed to keep the building in the back because of the drive-through, because there'd be too much traffic. Now it's not a mutual, they weren't allowed to have the parking spots, so now the new way is to put a sidewalk in there. If it's not a town walk and people are on a dirt path that they've made and they trip, well, that's their problem because it's not supposed to be there. So it's gonna make access for the employees to have an easier way to get from Owen Bell to their job And Bucky had made a comment about the sidewalk in the wintertime to make the access easier. Well, who's gonna be going in the wintertime from the parking lot to the plaza? It's gonna be the employees. So this is just a benefit for the developer.
Well, I'm just reporting what the rec commission, and by the way, if you trip on town property, they're gonna sue the town, whether it's on a sidewalk or it's on a dirt path.
Well, then they can be tripping when they're going back in the woods hiking, or when the kids are running cross-country. Those paths are just as dangerous with roots and holes and everything
In the borough,
else.
people have tripped on our sidewalks and we've been sued, so, I mean, you know,
But this
if
is-
there's a hazard to trip on and they trip, they will sue you.
Well,
So,
not if
that's-
it's an area that they're not supposed to be in.
So I'm gonna chime in here with Ula on this one. My concern would be is once there's a sidewalk there and the routes are gone, what's to stop them from taking deliveries in the Owen Bell parking lot and then carting back and forth? And now we got kids in the same parking lot that, 26-foot box trucks drive through. So that would be my concern on that one.
Where we would, at that point, that's not allowed. They have a delivery spot they have a delivery spot at the site. They're violating what they have now because they're backing tractor trailers from 101 into the spot. So I don't know where the enforcement would be, but I think if there's a box truck at Owen Bell and I'm going by, there would be an obstruction in front of the box truck until I call our town manager to get some help to say, you don't belong here.
It's just gonna make their access easier, and they're gonna use it. They're already obstructing. Hartford Pike, don't think they're not gonna use it. It's not a mutual benefit, it's for their benefit. They didn't get those, didn't they actually want 4 parking spaces at first? And then they tried to get, it was more than 2 they tried to get, and they didn't get any of it. So the new thing was to put a sidewalk in. So it's for their benefit. Everything has been to benefit the developer.
I could see a gravel pathway, but paved, once it's paved, then you have to plow it. Then you have, and in reading the highway department, they got other priorities, that would be so far down the list. But if we gotta plow it for their people using the parking lot, I'm gonna back off of that. So I would say we make it a gravel, and then we put some signage up, parking for Bell Park
Well,
only, and then,
the Park and Rec were also in favor of granting them access for the tractor trailers to go back there too, so.
To go back through Owen Bell?
Have an access road, part of Owen Bell and part of their property in between there. They wanted an access road. Is it Town Farm Road? From town.
Oh, you're saying, right, no, you're saying back in the beginning, right?
Right,
I
beginning,
totally
yeah,
agree,
that-
there should be no tractor trailers. I think I'm with Ed
yeah.
on gravel over paved. I agree, I agree with you that the roots are there, but I think to maintain that, our town garage could do that. They could bring it to grade every year. It's a lot less. I think it's obviously cost-wise has to be dramatically less. I would think that I wouldn't be in favor of a sidewalk or paved,
I'm not in
but
favor
I'd
of
be okay with
sidewalk.
gravel.
Honest with you, dirt roads cost you more than paved roads.
Right, but I'm thinking,
But I'm
we're
just,
not
but I'm,
talking.
but I'm fine with,
We are
I'm just
saying,
saying.
can we
rec
determine
commission
what pathway means? Though, to me, pathway is not over 6 feet wide. This isn't
would
8,
be
10
40.
feet. 4 feet. So we're talking 4 feet.
Gravel,
Yeah.
4-foot gravel pathway.
If it was a road, I would say, okay, but a 4-foot wide pathway, I can get behind that, but not paved or concrete.
So how do we have to make an amendment to this to specifically say what? Say we'll approve it with a 4-foot wide gravel pathway and,
Yeah, I think you can make a motion to accept the, accept the improvements with the amendment that you're requiring it to be a 4-foot gravel pathway. And if you want the signage installed, you can add that to the motion or whatever other condition, that you're looking for. That's an
Okay.
option. You can
Yeah.
you can make a motion to accept it as it's presented. You can make a motion And that motion could fail, and then you could make another motion. That's so.
Well, to hear out the recommendations of
Yeah.
Parks and Rec, they did also say something about a light coming off the backside of the building, right? That
Yeah,
they're
I
gonna
mean,
move.
security purpose, I mean, you.
Yeah,
you
I'm
got
just saying to
light-
add that
yeah.
into that motion, like if
Yeah.
we're gonna go with the
Yeah.
gravel path, they also have to put a light up too.
Well, there is a light in the back, there is a street light, there's a sidewalk, concrete sidewalk at the end of their parking lot, and there is a street light right there. So that's close enough, I don't think that to require
Back of the
that.
building?
It's on the
In the-
opposite side of the building, of the access, of the drive-through lane for the coffee pickup and for where the supposed parking area, truck parking. So there is a light already there. So,
But they were willing to put the light and pay for it, right?
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, and they were willing to pay for the whole sidewalk.
Right.
I say we vote on it, if it passes or fails. If it fails, then have them come back with a revision on how they, with the gravel, and not have us dictate how to have them finish it, or what method.
yeah, but if we vote yes to have it a concrete sidewalk, we're putting the highway department
Correct.
and, okay, I
But
just
if
want to
we-
be out there that I can't commit the highway department to be plowing snow. We have higher priority areas, and that's the biggest spot that I'd be looking at. And then that's a primary on the developer on 550 side. That's the prime space to put piles of snow right where the walkway would be. So it's counterproductive to support a paved. So if I guess,
Would they be able to put snow, though, there's, where their property ends and this walkway meets their property, them putting snow on our property?
no. They'll
Okay.
be they should be on their property where their pile of snow should go.
Yep. Would be
Which
okay.
they didn't really follow, they never followed, I read the minutes of the comments for that proposal. And the snow was supposed to be lifted over the curb onto the grass. Physically out there, they lost 8 parking spaces because their snowplow operator never followed, and they piled the snow right in the way. So I can't, as this is, I gotta vote no. Maybe that's, okay, how do we got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Those in favor of the proposal as is? I vote no.
I vote no.
Yes. Yeah, we'll do a roll call. I think that makes sense.
Okay, roll call.
Adam Reynolds?
No.
Tony Gambatista?
Yes.
Tammy Wakefield?
So, let me get this straight. It's like following the bouncing ball. So, they proposed a paved one.
Yes.
So, we're voting on paved.
Yes,
We
right
just
now
had
we're
the
voting on
discussion that we were okay with gravel. So
Yes.
this is just based off the paved.
Correct, because Kevin said we're
Yes.
dictating, they're paying for it.
From- As
We're not
as they
dictating.
propose it with a paved drive, yes.
Okay.
Can amend it after. I thought we were gonna vote on it.
No,
as
this is, we're voting, well,
Ed put it out there as is, which is.
this is, we're
concrete.
voting as is. That's kind of the,
So if it's as a concrete, then I'm okay with it going to gravel, so then it would be no.
Yeah, that's how I understood it.
that's, okay, that, well.
Follow the bouncing balls, you're a no.
Tammy?
No.
Kevin?
No.
David Griffiths?
I talked to people on the rec board today, and they wanted it. So I'm gonna go yes.
Ula?
No.
Jonathan?
No.
Ed,
No.
motion fails.
No, we'll redo, I'd like someone to propose a motion that we have a gravel, just a gravel, 4-foot wide gravel pathway.
With no lighting.
No, yeah, no lighting.
I'll
So-
make the motion then to approve a
Amendment.
amendment to a 4-foot gravel path
With no lighting.
with no lighting.
There's no amendment, this is another main.
Another
This is
motion.
Oh,
the
just
second
another
main
motion.
I got it.
So I'll make
Yeah.
the motion to, for approval for a 4-foot wide gravel path.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
We're gonna be good. We can just vote.
I think that would actually appease the rec
Yep.
commission, because they wanted something that's a little bit more smoother, and a gravel pathway can be maintained to keep the roots out.
Well, I'd like to add, if I can amend your motion, I would like signage to the effect that parking to be added for Bell Park.
Do we have to do that? We can put it on our side of the property, that would just be done with. We
Yeah.
don't need to make a motion for that.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
We make our own signs.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Violators will be towed.
Yes. Will.
With Ula right there.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So we're gravel. Okay. New business, 15, discussion and possible action regarding ballot question related to warehouse distribution center moratorium. Can I have a motion?
I don't believe, we can't do this.
There was no motion suggested. I think this was a discussion item requested by
Okay.
one of the town councilors about whether we could have a ballot item, whether we should, what the wording would be, whether it would be advisory or not. And we got some legal advice that we can't have a binding moratorium question on what we allow in terms of land uses, for instance, for.
It's non-binding.
No, I know, I'm gonna get to that, but the original discussion when we were talking offline was whether we could do it or not, and the opinion back was, no, we can't do that because that power is vested to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Could you have a non-binding question? What I've researched is that you can't do a non-binding question in November because that's considered an election governed by the state. It's for local elections and state elections, and they don't want non-binding advisory questions on the ballot at that time. That's an opinion that was issued by the Secretary of State 15 years ago. That's how he's interpreting state statute. And so your last choice would be, if you want to do a non-binding question, you would have to find another time to do it. You could have a special election for that. You could try and put it on your budget referendum in May. So then the discussion would be, okay, what is that question going to say? And that would, you would have to discuss what is that question going to say. We'd have to send it for legal review because you can't sell the question with the question. It has to meet certain standards. So it can't be a leading question. It has to be, a yes or no. Do you want this? Neutral, right.
So so I guess the time to do this would be.
Can we ask again? Ask the state again. It's been
Well, I
15
don't
years ago.
know.
They might not remember.
Yeah, I did ask our attorney to, is there a way to do this? And he just, hasn't gotten back to me on that question yet. And it's not 100% clear that we can do it in May, but there does seem to be some legal room. And so I also asked that question. And the way I'm reading the charter, I think we can do it, but I don't have a legal ruling on that. The charter explicitly calls for 2 non-binding questions, and that's all spelled out in the charter, so it's baked in, right? Whether the budget is too high or too low. Right.
They tried to do that when they had the mascot
Yeah.
change. They tried to get it on in November. We couldn't do it, just for a survey question.
I think that's a good point. A survey question might be another way to get at the data you're looking for rather than putting it on the ballot.
Okay, because like I said, it's very hypocritical. Where's your people? They come and then they're like, oh, well, there's a majority of silent majority, so.
This is a pretty hot topic, though. I think if you did do a survey, I think you're gonna get a good response. Today's voting, there was only, 1,100 people, I think, that came out today. I think you might do better than that in a survey with this topic.
But it doesn't have any bearing on the warehouses that are already in the permit process.
No, but it's for future.
No, it's for future, and I agree with that. I think you need to change your regulations.
Isn't there already a petition before P and Z about this?
Yeah, so there is there was an application to impose a moratorium on warehouse distribution centers, and the Planning and Zoning Commission scheduled a public hearing on that for next Monday, so they're gonna have the public hearing, and I don't know if they'll close the hearing and decide that next week, or if it'll be, a couple months of hearings and then they'll decide. And, they might address this for you. You could also, you could put your input into that public hearing process. You could send the Planning and Zoning Commission a letter saying, you support this moratorium and taking a look at changing the regulations going forward. And then and if they do adopt the moratorium, they're gonna have another public hearing eventually, because they're gonna have to come up with regulations on how they wanna change it. So, this is just the beginning of the whole process.
It's workshops.
Right.
So,
And then you could send them a letter on that. That you're not influencing a site plan decision. They're then acting in a legislative capacity, and you can say, you can't tell them to do it, but you could say, hey, we think you should take a hard look at this.
You were suggesting the council as a whole write that letter?
You could.
So it could go on the agenda?
Yeah.
All right. Good.
So, what's the language you want for that letter?
Well, no, not yet, but
I mean-
I think we should send a letter. I'm all supportive of that.
But their meeting is next Monday.
Yeah, but they're gonna be meeting after that. That's the
Well,
end
to
of it.
support, do you want to support the moratorium? That's on Monday's meeting. And then to physically change the regulations
They're gonna
is
have
after that
workshops.
point.
Right.
So do you want to support the proposal of a referendum? Then we'd have to vote on that now and send that to them if you want the body to do that.
I think it's a good idea. That we support the referendum to look at our regulations in light of what we've been through.
Who would support the moratorium that's presented.
Right.
I'll second that. Is that your motion?
Yes.
All right.
Are we?
For a
That
motion
we-
for the town council to support the
That we, the
moratorium.
town council, support the
Proposed
moratorium,
proposed
the
moratorium
proposed moratorium
for warehouses.
for warehouses.
And distribution centers.
Okay.
Is that?
And data centers.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if data center,
Public service corporations.
It was an application for a moratorium?
yes.
I would just say in the motion that you support the application as presented and not rehash all the words of the application like you guys were just doing. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, but is that in what Michelle's what,
Well,
they're looking at the moratorium. We're supporting the moratorium as presented. That's where he's trying to go and not get too crazy with what's going on.
we can do data centers the next time.
Yes, let's be on board, so support the moratorium proposed for warehouses and distribution centers. Here first and second, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Are we, that's, whatever you need, let's,
So-
okay, that's
So-
fine.
So Brian, seeing it's on Monday, would we just send them a copy of the minutes?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's, yeah, okay. Okay. Just 15B, discussion and possible action regarding a request for a security camera near 29 Water Street. Yes.
I'll
do I
make
have
that
a
motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
So how are we gonna work this when we get businesses keep asking for security cameras? There needs to be some type of a rule, something, because we can't keep putting up cameras every time somebody asks for a camera.
We can't, but I had, after one of the council meetings we had, when we went to the coffee with the council over the Chubby Dogs, the whole entire hour and a half was complaints of the homeless activity and the things that are going on over at the Water Street and Davis Park and.
Drug
it's-
activity.
Yeah,
and-
there's
yeah.
a lot of, and if we can do something to catch people in the act and discourage some of that activity here, it's gotta help, because they're dealing with a lot over there.
Yeah, I agree with that, but when businesses keep coming forward, we're not gonna keep being able to like just keep adding cameras and cameras and cameras, cause it's gonna,
Do you want them to pay half?
well, they do already have to, pay for,
Electricity
the
and
Wi-Fi.
Electricity and the
electricity.
Wi-Fi.
So what if we were to do it like this, like we budgeted 35,000 this year to do the cameras, and then when the budget runs out, if we were to keep that budget alive for the next year, you know what I mean? It would just be kind of one of those things that would be, I don't wanna say reoccurring, but it would have the ability to grow.
Yep.
That would be feasible.
You know, cause that way, you could be like, okay, well, we ran out of this budget, but next year, put it in the budget again, we can work it so we can make the town safer. Like, I was with Kevin at Chubby Dog, and they're dealing with a lot, and they don't have the time to, in the moment, take out a phone and record the moment that's happening. So if we can at least back them up, and I don't wanna go down a rabbit hole, but, and bring more back the bicycle police and try to get some more presence down there, because, you know, I want people to feel safe, and I know people that go from Deary's Gym over to the pizza joint, and they won't even walk that far. They'll drive because they don't like being downtown.
It's a very friendly law firm if they need to go anywhere.
So do all those cameras that were proposed on Main Street,
Sorry.
can any of those be taken and put on Water Street? I think some of them had like, didn't they have like 3 or 4 cameras for one business?
Yours is getting hacked now.
So I think we had 5 or 6 cameras in there for 35,000, and we rounded up a little bit, so we may be able to work with the vendor to stretch the budget to afford the additional camera. We also have had some offers from the borough to look at paying for some of that additional camera, and today we were contacted by a company that wanted to donate us a camera. We can look at that and see if
Because I thought.
that's something that we have that would be compatible. We actually did draft a policy to look at, how would we do this going forward. We just haven't had a time to really vet it and put it before the council. And in the meantime, you had those couple emails last month that put this on the agenda, so.
I thought the businesses had more than one camera. Didn't they have multiples?
I think there was one location that had two cameras, maybe looking in different directions on that list.
Those are its personal cameras, I believe, inside
Yeah.
the store.
Right. And we're talking about security cameras, not surveillance cameras. So this is just something that we would check if there's an incident.
One of my biggest concerns, particularly on the Water Street, there are 3 brand-new businesses that are women-owned, and they're, the activity that's going on back there and the characters that are back there, I wouldn't want to be leaving my business to go get in my car to go home.
Yeah, those were the emails that were sent, were from
Well,
those businesses.
So, I mean, honest with you, it wasn't just all, the letters that we got weren't just the people that actually own the businesses. Mariah did initiate it, but there's they have a lot of supporters that like to go into there. And I mean, they're growing businesses, some of them are expanding. I know that we just had, we just went to the grand reopening to the new one, they were above Chubby Dog, they've expanded, and they've already been broken into, and they're over there across from the Elks. So, I mean, cameras would be, you know, it's kind of like lights. If you don't have enough lights, the things that aren't supposed to happen when it's dark and it's not patrolled. And yeah, the bike patrols would be great. I know they're really looking forward to the school resource officer. I guess is going to be getting freed up soon, and that's going to be a resource that maybe we can put down into the downtown area. We want people to come downtown. We want them to shop. We want our businesses to thrive. We're making great headway, but we've got to keep it going. And if people don't feel safe, they're not going to come.
So if we approve this, do we have to put money to it, or just?
I don't know if you really, I mean, if you want to make a motion to support it, I think we're gonna try and figure out how to do it with the money that we have. And,
That's what I'm
I
getting
mean,
at.
if you want to
We'll
endorse
approve
us
this,
doing that.
And then see,
If for some reason I don't have the money, then I'll, if I have to come
Okay.
back and ask you for it, I will,
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. 15C, discussion, background and discussion regarding possible the Little League field relocations to the Davis property, 80 Edwardson Road. Can you?
Yeah, I mean, this is an agenda item you requested.
Yes.
Ed, and,
What's
I
that?
guess, just to provide some information to the council, if this is the Davis property, I can't read the address. I think the address is on the other. Can we go to the other map, the colored lines on it? Yeah. I can't quite read the address on that bar, but this is a town-owned property that we've had under contract with Jolly for many years. They've been mining it, and the loose plan was when we expand the wastewater treatment plant, we will need to relocate the Little League fields, and this is the property that we've discussed relocating them to. So right now, there's been mining activity in the center, and they're working on Phase 2, which is the green line that you see in the top of the screen. And so our contract with the company goes through the end of the year. They're supposed to finish that mining that green area, and that'll open up a huge area for field relocation. And that's something that if we're going to expand the plant, we'll have to do, leading up to expanding the plant, either in the year in advance or simultaneously. If you can go back to the first map again, you could see we were able to lay out 4 fields within that. And that doesn't include the green area that still is to be mined, so there's some additional area up in the top left that we could use. And I know, Ed, you wanted to talk about the area where the vernal pool is. I don't know if you want to get into that or
Well,
not.
I don't know, I was just hearing something that everything we're looking at with our warehouses, that we're giving away wetlands and vernal pools and whatnot. We have a vernal pool here. Through the grapevine, I am hearing that is a man-made vernal pool. So I don't know where it would go. Whether or not we propose it at wetlands to make it go away, or, because I guess that vernal pool is at a very high elevation. And if that went away, or we created something else somewhere else, we would have a bigger area to make a bigger sports complex. And maybe that's what I'm kind of looking at. Do we want to propose making it larger, or strictly staying where we are at the proposed?
If I understood the town manager, there's going to be additional area above that already that's being cleared now, which would be to the, I guess, to the northeast, I guess, maybe north of that, I guess. So there is extra, so above that where it says proposed next phase, clearing and excavation, on the top left, he's saying there's a large parcel there. Above that, that's still, we could still have room for expansion, of that park.
I don't know that much about this. Yeah, well, this is what I'm getting through the grapevine. I want to get the discussion going because we need to do something with the Little League field sooner than later. So,
Then you should bring it to inland wetlands, because the moving of wetlands isn't usually successful.
so I don't know, again, that's why I was talking to Brian about this. I'm getting it through the grapevine. I haven't seen everything. Now I'm seeing it in reality where we are. And there's the potential, if that vernal pool, if that was a man-made vernal pool, again, I don't know where to go with this, but is it possible to relocate that, make another vernal pool elsewhere on the property? Do we want to do that? And I just want this out there, people to see, get it out there more out in the public that the Little League field is going to be moving sooner than later.
Would we be doing that for a safety concern of moving the vernal pool?
I'm just looking at additional area, to make it a bigger complex. So I don't know what our appetite is.
Well, do you know the acreage of what's right there and then the extra acreage above it that you're saying is being mined now? Can we look at that other map?
I don't know if the map delineates.
So, and look at it
acreage.
now, Ed. So you can see like kind of in that red is where the fields are and then that whole green is being cleared above that.
And there's a lot of land there in the green area. There's a lot of land that we've already mined. We can fit at least 4 fields of various sizes in the orange area. We could probably fit another 3 or 4 in the green area, depending on, what type of field it is and what type of baseball field or other field that we want. If we wanted to look at continuing to mine additional areas, we'd have to give the company additional time, and we may have, another year in addition to that. We may have 2 years, but then you're starting to push it. We do make money off of the mining, so the town, takes a cut of the profits from the mining operation there. So, there is some benefit to that. The vernal pool may be man-made, but that doesn't mean that.
I don't know where
whether it's man-made or not doesn't, eliminate our responsibility to go before inland
Right,
wetlands and ask them to relocate it. If you go back to the first map, it shows that
So
there.
the W-
See where the W is?
The W is the vernal pool.
That's not what I would call Jolly Pond. Like there's a little pond there when you're on the Quinnebog Trail to
Yeah.
your left. Is that what that is?
I don't.
Because there's houses with docks on that, like,
Well, that says
No,
it's
this
200
sits up high.
okay,
It's
something different.
Yeah, if you're coming in on the access road, it's to your right.
So it says right there, 200 feet vernal pool buffer. So there's already a 200-foot buffer?
Ed, what would be
And-
your timetable on this? Like,
The
is
field-
my
the
first
fi-
question. Number 2 is, what's the funding source to build these? And number 3, we should do a site walk.
Maybe a site.
We should do a little field trip
I like
as
the
a
sidewalk.
council.
A sidewalk might be appropriate. I think that might be the start.
We could do it now. I mean,
I appreciate that.
we have
I think
already
we
done
need
it.
Sidewalk.
We need lighting.
But you could do a site walk with inland wetlands.
Well, I think we have to, we would do our site work before, and I want you guys to see do we want to pursuing wetlands to see to make that vernal pool go away? Or just leave it as it is and we take it? I don't know. Now's the time we'd have to do it. We'd have to, we gotta start thinking about this because.
You don't have to do it tonight, but
No.
you could think about it.
Tomorrow morning, we're gonna have a sidewalk out there.
I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is, once you build the fields, they're gonna have to sit for a good year just to make sure they take. So, I mean, if it's gonna take you a year to build the fields, then they're gonna have to sit and be maintained for a year before they get used.
How many fields are there currently
I believe there's 4
Yeah.
of different sizes at the
Yeah.
property adjacent to the plant.
Yeah, I think this has to be, not, I don't want to kick the can, but we gotta do a site walk of this, they'll take a look at this, because I'm looking at the elevation numbers, that's a 28-foot drop right there.
Yes, there's a lot from, that's what I'm saying.
Um,
We do a sidewalk, I think if,
Then we can get, you're gonna get your hands a little dirty on it and see what we gotta do next, but I don't think this is a long, drawn-out conversation for tonight without actually seeing it.
Now, weren't they when they were finishing their mining, weren't they supposed to be restoring them to a certain, have they done that in the areas that they've completed?
Well, no, because they're still going back and, I mean, yes, to a certain extent they have, but to a certain extent they haven't because they're still trafficking through that area to get to that back area,
Onto
right?
the
So
back
it's not,
area.
it's not in the final condition that it'll be left at the end of the contract. So and the contract goes with
Is there
1-year
another
extensions.
way for them to get to that back area other than keep going through?
I don't think so. I'd have to look at the parcel map to see who the abutter is. But there's, and you could dig into that bank up to the vernal pool to a certain extent, right? There's some, but it's very steep. And,
That's
and,
kind
it,
of-
and all this takes time too, so, I mean, it's a trade-off.
So just even if we got all the approvals on the sewer plant, we're looking at least another 5, correct, before that's done?
Before it's online, I think we'll be.
So-
well, that
I'd
is
like
the
to be at
final-
construction
the-
before that.
Yeah, if we start construction, but at the last sewer meeting, I threw it out there. I said, if we can get a plug-in tank farm, someone, whoever, they may have some portable tanks or something, plug in, they would go right where the Little League field is right now. That would be more immediate. So everybody's finally starting to look at a short-term fix and a long-term fix. And if I can see a short-term fix to get that sewer plant, get some capacity, I want it. So.
But that's gonna be a problem.
That,
though.
well, again, how this works, now's the time to move on, now's the time to move on this. If we wait, then we gotta stick with what we have here to make that go. So, if there's any appetite to change this, I guess we can have a sidewalk, decide that, and then we can say, leave it as is. I'm open to suggestions. That's what this item is about.
And I think we've been sitting on the Davis property, what, a good, probably almost 20 years, at least 10.
So now we need
You don't
it
need
to
no
be done.
golf course.
Well, I'm in favor of a site walk. I will. And then we can bring this up at our next meeting, pursue it, leave it as is, pursue it more. Whatever. Thank you. Council member reports.
So I haven't had a Board of Ed meeting since the last meeting, so.
Okay.
I got really nothing.
Okay.
I did do the vision committee, and one of the things they talked about a lot was some kind of public transportation, that was brought to them a lot. They have, I guess, a lot of people that either don't have means to get back and forth to work or means to get back and forth for doctor's visits and stuff like that. So that was one of their main concerns, in that. And then bringing NECOG in, they were looking to see if they could kind of work with NECOG and see if there's any kind of grants that will help them fund some kind of transportation in town.
People go to work from 8 to 5, but they close down at 4:30.
Well, a lot of it they were trying to stem from was like these lift vouchers and so forth, if there was an allotment for it, some kind of idea to do something.
Agricultural Commission was canceled, and that was it for me. We had solid waste, and that was pretty quick. We talked about flow, kind of being maintained. There was not much else going on there.
So I stopped in at the library. Their summer reading program is kicking off on the 20th of this month. They're gonna start off with like a decorating cupcakes. On August 14th, which is the end of their reading program, is gonna be an ice cream, almost like an ice cream party. Their reading program is Plant a Seed and Read. They actually had little trees. You actually, because my granddaughter is doing one of the ones and twos, the Fantastic Ones and Twos program, and everybody that's part of the reading program could go and get a little. It's a rooted tree, so you have to wrap it with tissues and towels and take it home and plant it. So the whole idea is as they're watching their tree grow and they're learning with reading and all that good stuff. The Historic District Commission, they decided they were gonna start doing some hybrid meetings if letting council, commission members that couldn't get to the meeting be able to call in. What had happened this last time is Nick Weiss had put in an application for appropriateness. He's trying to fix some of the buildings that were on town historical that his dad had on Pleasant Street. The one in particular, the porch and everything, he's been shored up structurally. And basically he's resourced, I'm trying to think of the word I want, basically materials that are be appropriate to look like the house is as old as it is. So that was approved. He's actually working with the building official because the porch area is on the second floor, so the railing has to be the appropriate height. There was more action that needed to be done on the Grange building, but that had to be postponed because there wasn't enough members at the meeting to vote, because Terry Barton can't vote because she's part of the Grange. And they voiced a desire to make sure to try to encourage the alternates for the Historic District Commission to actually attend meetings in case there's a problem with not being able to vote on it. Rec Commission had a lot of lively discussion, not just on the walkway. The fireworks were discussed. Been a lot of rah-rahs has already surpassed what they collect, because every month is the special Sunday, and a certain portion goes to the fireworks. They've already reached what they gave last year in their special Sundays. Camp Wallaby, their registration's going really well. They're at where they were last year. The shade shelters were put in at Owen Bell Park by the DPW crews. If anybody was paying attention to social media, the splash pad was down. I guess the pump's running on the pump's having some issues, and it's probably gonna have to be replaced probably sooner than.
The pump controls on those tend to go every couple of years, and we would order one to keep on hand, but they tend to just rot, when you have them on the shelf. So when you do need one, you have to wait a few days to get it in.
Yeah, and I guess it's it's starting to wear out anyways. That's because I'd stopped and talked at the rec center. Over at Westfield, they're not only having pickleball courts, they're actually gonna put a basketball as well as like a game area where you could do Foursquare, all in that area. Lions Park is supposed to be getting an update to that playground. The new softball scoreboard is has been ordered and is gonna be put in. And major shout out to Little Theater on Broad Street. They jumped in and helped out the Killenly High School Little Mermaid production. Things happened and it was in danger of not going forward. And they basically asked, because some of the members of the Little Mermaid ensemble had been members of Little Theater. And they begged and they pleaded, and so Holly and Natasha and the whole light and sound crew, all volunteers, jumped in and helped them get their production put on. And I can honestly tell you, I thought I was sitting there actually watching a Little Theater production, because the minute I heard the music, I was like, I know that song, because that's what they played during their scene changes. So it was really nice of them to do that, to help out those. There was like 5 seniors that actually, this was their last play that they were going to perform at the high school level, and they were able to do it because the Little Theater helped. And the other thing they brought up, they're taking on some interesting plays that most community theaters aren't doing. They just did Finding Neverland, or Return to Neverland. No, Finding. It was Finding Neverland. And right now they're doing Dear Evan Hansen. That one is a particular heavy discussion, but it's thought provoking. And the other thing they're going to be doing in July is something called Letters from Home, and it is based off of they read letters from soldiers to their families and families to the soldiers. We're going to be one of the first community theaters in the country you're seeing that kind of thing is like a regular paid theater company. Community theaters don't generally do these particular plays, but we're grappling them and bringing them to the quiet corner. And so if you get a chance, this weekend is the last weekend for Dear Evan Hansen, and pretty soon Letters from Home should be posting. And if you get a chance to go to Little Theater, it's a great production. And I apologize for being so wordy, but
Brian mentioned in his report the bid for Westfield Avenue for the heating system coming in way over budget, and they're going to negotiate. The rest, we had another meeting, I think, the week after, and the majority of that was an executive session, so I have nothing more.
Yep.
Health Department doesn't meet until Thursday.
Cool.
I attended the Inland Wetlands Water Course. I was away for the Housing Authority, Zoning Board of Appeals, 82 Francis Street. They were granted a decrease in the setback for a front porch. It conforms with the rest of the neighborhood. 45 Cross Street, change in the setback for a front porch also conforms with the neighborhood. Bailey Hill Road, 533, decrease in the front setback for a detached garage. These were all approved. And public hearing for 96 Rogers Road was continued until this Thursday for the construction of a single-family home.
Jonathan?
No report.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I gotta do mine.
Oh!
Thanks, Kevin.
It's okay. No, it's all right. This is. No, the Conservation Commission, they wrote a letter to the DEP supporting getting Old Kinley Pond get it repaired and water level back to normal. And I went to the inland wetlands, and they closed their public hearing on the warehouse. So,
What's the next step with them?
well, then it's still going to planning and zoning is next. They can deliberate, they have to deliberate by, the time frame is whatever the next meeting, they just have enough time to do
When
their
does
deliberations.
IWWC issue their?
So they
Next
can
meeting.
either
Next meeting.
approve or deny.
Making a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?